and the lies stacked tall. My red, white, and blue heart starts at answering the call. Question everything. Don't swallow the lies they try to sell. 'Cause sometimes logic fails and it drags this nation straight to hell. Conspiracy analysts digging for the truth they try to hide. We the people stand together with our hands on hearts and full of pride. This is my home, my blood, my heritage, my sacred ground. My country's not for sale, and we'll never back down.
What is up? What is up, folks? How's everybody doing tonight? Sorry about the technical difficulties. Brett, appreciate you giving me a call. I did not realize we had people waiting. So yeah, I've already told everybody about the baseball, and so yeah, I guess I set it up in Eastern, and when I got home, it didn't adjust. Anybody from StreamYard hears this, you need to have another option for Central Time, Eastern Time, Pacific Time. So anyway, guys, I know y'all been looking forward to it. This is Miss Christine with us in the house. I tell you what, I was going to give her a fancy introduction, but I was in such a rush, I left it downstairs. Miss Christine, you want to just tell us who you are, what you do, and what you did?
Sure. Well, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you, everybody. You got a great crew. So, very excited about what we're going to talk about. And of course, you're wonderful. I'm a retired police detective and sergeant. I'm currently a private investigator, forensic genetic genealogist, and law enforcement expert. So I kind of work all sides of these cases, solving unknown human remains cases, using genetic genealogy and DNA, testifying about what police didn't do, whether it was right, whether it was wrong, and just investigating. So, and I podcast too. I mean, I stream, I YouTube. So that's it. Yeah, very busy girl. But
yep. And everybody that is in my chat, please go give her a subscribe. You know, give her some love. She'll really appreciate it. And I got a feeling that you probably learned something over there. So definitely give her a subscribe. Yeah. So I definitely want to talk. I've been making a list, and I know I left some stuff off of it. I should have been doing it the whole time I was over there playing baseball, but I waited to get back till I got back. And so I do definitely want to talk about the hearing specifically, but I also want to, I want to talk about just the case in general, like from day one. I don't know what kind of circles you hang out with online, but you know, there is a very large group of people that just ain't buying any of it. You know, and some of the things I don't know where I stand on. Other things, yeah, I definitely think there's something wrong, but I would like to just talk about the way this thing, especially some of the more controversial aspects of the investigation.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So for me, just to let your viewers know, and thank you everybody for being here. When I come into these cases, and I know a lot of the viewers have done a lot more research than me, my main interest is kind of the court pleadings and how everything is going, the show, right, that they put on in court and representing all the pieces. So you probably have a lot of information on this case that I don't have, but I'm happy to answer any questions that I can. Definitely talk about what happened at the hearing, what didn't happen at the hearing, what we heard about what might have happened or didn't happen at the crime scene and all that. I'll answer the best I can, you know, just general police knowledge or whatever. So
yeah, and you know what? Look, so a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about, really, there's not much of a controversy on whether it happened or didn't happen. There's some controversy as to what that means exactly, whether that's normal or not. And mainly that's what I'm curious about, is to just find out if some of these things that we know happened that seem kind of abnormal, wouldn't normally look. I've never been a police officer, never been involved in a homicide, investigation at all. But now I have always been a huge fan of ID Channel. I've watched tons of First 48. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
So, but all right. So like from the very beginning, from the get go, um, I guess my first biggest thing with it would be, and everybody knows they didn't do a very good job with like securing the scene. Um, that was just a mess. I don't know how much footage you've, seen from right immediately after, but you got people going in and out of there. One guy steals a hat off the table. I mean, one of the officers literally picks up the microphone that I believe he was using off the table and taps on it to see if it's still on and lays it back down. You know, uniformed police officer. So that was pretty much a joke. I
Yeah,
guess.
I haven't seen too much of any of that footage when it first came out. I
Hmm.
actually believe I was at a police homicide conference when it happened. Okay, so we were kind of looking at the video, kind of incredulous. So I haven't seen a lot of that, but I can tell you just from the testimony of, was it Bagley,
Hmm.
that
Oh,
the body worn camera not being charged and
that's
only
on my
being,
list.
yeah, like only being 6 people. And I worked for a short while at a campus police department. So if there was only, what did he say, 6 of them or 50,
Hmm.
15 in total, there was only 6 of them, that's just a problem waiting to happen.
Yeah, yeah. There was like 12 or 13 on Charlie's security detail that day. They had brought some extras, but then they I mean they outnumbered the actual police officers there, times two. So I don't think the amount of officers was sufficient, not knowing what kind of crowd was going to be there. Again, and something a lot of people bring up is the lack of ambulance and all that. So all that's weird. But I guess the first main thing that has been a huge topic and issue with the investigation is, and I know. So how long generally would would a crime scene be? How long before a crime scene would be released normally, just under normal, and then also figuring in how high profile it is. And the other thing that I just can't help but wonder, so we know 4 days after he was killed, there was 10 inches of dirt dug out and pavers put in there. Now, you can say you can speculate on the reason. Obviously, we don't know for sure what the reason is, but is that something normal? I mean, I've heard of people going back to the crime scene. I've heard of the jurors going out to the crime scene. I've heard of, even after it's been, the initial investigation, people going back to investigate some other aspect. I mean, even if the crime scene's released, first, how long would it generally be before it's released? And then would there be any kind of stipulations, or let's leave it for X? I don't know how that works. I mean,
Well, let's talk about it. There's no defined time except for when it's done, it's done.
mm-hmm,
And it's up to the case agent, right? The officer that's in charge. I mean, I can talk all around this. And it's up to the agent. Typically, let me do the caveat. Typically, in my experience, it's the case agent or the detective in charge that sets the tone for the entire crime scene. In fact, I had to tell my chief and other people, you need to get lost because you're in control of the crime scene. You're responsible for it. Now, I don't know if it worked out in that way there, but it's done when it's done. And we can talk about, specifically to what you talked about, look at the Nancy Guthrie case in the state where I live. Like, what can you say about that?
mm-hmm,
And when we talk about it, when I take the defense position on that, right? What's going to happen with the lack of chain of custody and people being onto the scene and things like that, right? And even though when you're a police officer and you're working it in the moment, you do have to think downstream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so it's done when it's done. Now, we also got the thing which you talked about, the jury going out there, people going out there. Look at Brian Koberger with the
Mm-hmm.
house. I was shocked that the house was torn down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But let's also look at it from, right. And this is where sometimes I get in trouble with my viewers. I got in trouble for using the word perspective, but I believe that we have to take everybody's, I know, whatever. But you have to kind of step into the people's shoes at the point and think like them. And that's where a good police officer, a good prosecutor, and even a good defense attorney, you kind of have to anticipate what's going to happen, right? And in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of a case, it's only the cop and maybe the prosecutor. So you do have to think downstream. But looking at the college campus and what happened, and the fact I don't know whether they closed the school, didn't close the school, whatever was happening, they
Mm-hmm.
probably didn't want to see it, or kind of like the Koberger thing with the
Mm-hmm.
students, because we've gotten into a, shall I say, softer world.
All right.
Maybe they felt they had to do something with it. I
And
don't
that's
know.
exactly what they've said. That's exactly the excuse they've used. I don't know. It just seems like with something so high profile, you would just be like, hey, we're gonna have to keep this scene for an extended amount of time, and maybe that never happens. I don't know,
Well,
but
well, let me add to that for a second. So because we can talk about another thing that happens, tunnel vision. Okay.
mm,
So me personally, I want to, and what I try to explain when I'm talking about these cases, we can talk about holsters and bullets and different things.
oh, it's on the
Okay.
list too.
Right. I tell my watch my eyebrows. When my eyebrows go up, I'm shocked. And so I want all my questions answered. When I was doing my cases, and even now, I want all the questions answered. I don't want anything, first of all, to be embarrassed, things coming back on me, but
Hmm.
I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. And tunnel vision can happen. So depending on how it all went out, and it sounded like they had, every agency in the state of Utah there, and maybe some others, who's doing what, who's saying what, and you trust your other law enforcement partner to say, did you get this? Yes. What's it look like? That. And you're like, okay. So and I know that people are talking about different things. I've got friends talking about exploding microphones and this, that, and everything. And
That's been a big topic discussed here.
yeah. So if the officer felt, and we have two case agents, if the officer felt that, and again, not to point back to Nancy, but in the beginning with Nancy, it was a walk away elderly person. It was
Right.
not a potential criminal act, right?
Right. At
So
first, it
here,
was just, yeah.
right. So here, if the narrative was, and I don't want to use the word narrative, but if the consensus was based on the information that was coming into the case agent at the time, and I'm not saying what happened,
Hmm.
okay,
I
but if
know.
if it came in that it was a shooting and this is what happened, and after day two when he turned himself in and they, allegedly whatever, and the
Hmm.
text messages and all this stuff, they felt comfortable with it, that they felt they were done.
That it was just done.
Okay. Right. It was done. So I don't know.
The other interesting thing, and again, now this can't be 100% verified, at least not at this point, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I don't know if you saw that interview, but the dude that actually went out and did the pavers. Okay, there's an interview with him on YouTube. I believe it's the only interview he's done, but he was actually the one that did it. The people from the school, um, a couple of the maintenance guys, they were supposed to get it done by whatever means necessary. They called him on a Sunday. What he was told was that orders came down from like way above, that it was the governor, or his office, what have you, and or the FBI. And it seems to me that those are both people, entities that wouldn't ordinarily and should not really have any say in that. So, I mean, if that is the case, that seems even more strange to me. Now, That's not in writing. That's not anything that can be, completely verified. But you know,
Well,
it.
and again, I don't know what that school is. Is that a public state school or is it a private university?
Honestly, I don't. I should know that as much as I have looked into all this. I think it's. I think it's. You know what? I don't know. I don't know
Well,
because I
well,
know that some of the maintenance guys are state employees, so I'm
okay.
guessing.
So let's just work this theory, right? So if it's a state university, then the governor could potentially, right? It's his state. He's
Hmm.
got his purview or her purview or whatever. And so that could be a thing that came down, right?
Yeah,
That could be legitimate within the state machine. Now, the FBI and all that,
that one's a little. Yeah,
I could see maybe a permission. Are you guys done?
right,
Are you
right.
guys done? Can we do this? And
And
that was that.
it may have been misunderstood. Maybe they're
Oh yeah.
who knows. But that's I just what he said, and that sounds really bad. And yes, I mean I understand the governor would have the authority if indeed it is state, and I think that it is. Um, it just seems like something he really wouldn't, you know,
Well,
get.
let's just say that.
But now he was big in Republican politics, and so I mean, I think he
Well,
stuck his foot in his mouth a few times talking too.
there's a lot of opportunities for influence or advice to come into an investigation. Let's leave it at that, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And um, you know, different things about and I'm trying to phrase this properly. As a police officer, and I talked about this in a recent case, as a police officer, you have to do your job and you have to do your job and obey the orders as they come down, or you get fired or you get disciplined. But at the
Right.
same time, you have a bigger responsibility. I don't even want to say bigger, but you have an additional responsibility to civil rights and people's civil rights and the Constitution and stuff like that.
Right.
And so people don't realize that you're in this position and you're trying to do the one thing that you want to do, but then you have this advice, you have this influence, and you have all this stuff, and you as one person have to decide what you're going to do. And sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it goes against maybe what you want to do, and you have to weigh. And I'm not saying that anything happened, but there
Hmm.
have been incidents, right? So you have to weigh how much is your job worth, or how much are your
Right.
morals worth, or how much are you going to stand up for person A, B, C, or D? And it happens more than you know.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times the job outweighs the you know, the morals or what have you, however you want to put it. I know it does, and I trust me, I can understand why it would, especially for a lot of people. So yeah, no, I can see that for sure. I don't know. That was like I said, that one, and it's still pretty controversial. There's still a lot of questions on it. Um, the if, right after people started asking questions, and then I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but I know at some point they said that it was something that had been pre-planned, that it was going to be done. Yeah, Brett Booth, he said UVU is public. I thought it was after I got to thinking about that. Thanks, Brett.
Well,
Um,
there should be a purchase order. Shouldn't that have
yeah,
all been talked about in
well,
FOIA,
that's what
right?
I was going to say. Some people FOIA or their equivalent. What do they call it in Utah? Something weird. Somebody in the chat remind me of what a Utah FOIA is. But anyway, so I don't know where it came from, but somebody had said that it was something been pre-planned and then it just got done, right
Quicker.
after this happened. But now I don't know if you're familiar with Baron Coleman.
Somebody put that name in my
Check him
comments.
out.
Okay.
Check him out. I mean, even if you don't agree with everything he says, he's just so good. And you talk about somebody that blew up. I was watching him back when he had 3 or 4 subs, and right now. He's got like 320, 330,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Well
Yeah, I'm not
deserved though.
familiar with him. Does
He,
he do a certain thing, or is it just Charlie Kirk? Or
so for now it is. He
okay.
has plans like me after this is over with, going down some other rabbit holes. But yeah, he's done. If you watch any of his episodes, you'll see why he's just focusing on Kirk, because he put so much into an episode.
Okay.
But yeah, he's an attorney, and so he's been treating it kind of like a, any other investigation he would do. And yeah, he's really good. Just check him out sometime.
Okay.
But anyway, I don't know if
What
it
else
was
you
him.
got?
Well, I don't know if it was him that I know he did an episode where he brought it up. I don't know if he was actually the one that FOIA'd the documents, but they did get all that. They got the schedule for all the maintenance and stuff, and it was not on any schedule that they were able to get. So it appears that it wasn't something that was pre-planned, and it does appear that it was done spur of the moment. So, I don't know. I just wondered if how much thought you've given to that, and what you thought. Like I said, I'm not going to ask you to speculate as to why, but is that normal for something like that high profile to be done in 2 days? Just seemed like a small window.
Well,
But
all I can say is I've seen some stuff happen. So, right?
I can imagine. I can
Yeah.
imagine.
So,
Yeah, because yeah, it's a complicated business. A lot of different, like tug of war. I'm guessing every single day, all the different interests.
yeah, that's why,
Um,
you got personalities, you've got job responsibilities, you've got, the police department. I talk a lot about how the police department, people think it's like a government entity, which it is, but it does operate like a business,
like a
right? And then
business,
and then you've got the stakeholders, depending if it's the county or the state or the city with the mayor. Like there's all kinds of layers to it. You
yeah,
come in as a cop, right? And you think, great, I get to do this job and I get to
yeah,
help people. And I say it's sometimes worse inside than outside, and
right,
it's dangerous outside, okay, but
yeah,
it can be worse inside.
yeah. And you think, well, chief of police is my boss, but no, it
Well,
goes way on up.
it could be wealthy people in the community. It could be
Hmm.
because you have to look good, right? The
Yeah,
police department, you might have your Google rating, right?
right,
Like a business has a Google rating, but no, the people in the community and the stakeholders in the community, we had this whole thing about things couldn't look bad. All right.
right.
So
Yeah,
when we were on day shift, we spent our time going around picking up dead animals and doing this and doing that. And so that, nothing untoward
yeah,
could happen in the city.
yeah. Keep that funding coming.
Yeah,
Um,
because people want to live in a good, safe
yeah,
town.
yeah.
Yes sir, yes ma'am, and that's it, right? So
Yeah, no, and I mean, hey, yeah, that's what everybody really wants at the end of the day. So, I guess it's all about how you can get there. But anyway, so I guess there's a lot, but I guess one of the biggest ones. I figure we might as well hit this one.
dive right in.
Yeah, yeah, get neck deep in it. So,
Okay.
um, and this one here, I mean, this one you're going to probably have to speculate on. This is not, this is more just your opinion, other than how does this normally go. But the whole 30-06 thing, that one is always has been and is still the biggest. Have you looked into that at all? I mean, like, do you even have an opinion? Do you think it's likely?
No, so like I said, I'm looking at the court proceedings and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I have not delved into this case, whatever. I've had a lot of great comments and feedbacks about, and we did hear something, I believe, during the testifying that it was a modified barrel, or it was a
Mm-hmm.
modified gun and all that. About how, and I, even though I carry them, and God knows I love my gun,
Yeah.
I could care less about,
Right.
I don't have,
I was just curious what your
I
opinion
don't have
was on
like
that
pet
one.
pet guns and favorites and
I
all that
got you.
stuff, but
Yeah.
no, there has been some great folks that have commented about the type of round and how far
Mm-hmm.
it can go and what it can do and the damage it can do. And back in my dinosaur days, that was not something that we carried, and I don't go out hunting or
Right.
whatever. So I can't even speculate on that. That's
I got
where
you.
the experts are going to have to come in.
Yeah,
We're
we're gonna
going to
have
have
a
to we're going
battle
to
of
have
the
to look at,
experts.
well, the medical examiner records about, what that deformation would look like.
Hmm.
Um, maybe going even to models, like creating a model, not like a crash test dummy or some sort of
Right.
something to
Yep.
see what the projectile is going to do. We got the issue with the bullet fragments that there was 7, now there's 4 or something. So I don't know. I got to leave that to
Yeah.
you guys that love the guns
Well,
and
there,
talk
I,
about that.
I can tell you from my experience, I'm just not really buying into that. But we'll see, I guess. But the other
I
thing
will I
was, is
will add something. I want to
yeah,
add
yeah,
something on that.
yeah,
I guess if I had to look at it as a layperson, like me just as a person, I'm like, because I know shooting, right? I had to go out,
30-06 is really hot, like a major. That's not. It's not like plinking gun. It's
well, yeah, but I'm just saying I had to shoot a lot,
yeah,
okay? And I was not a sniper, right? Like, so, as long as you get it in the ring or whatever, that you could take somebody down if you needed to, right? And
yeah,
then you have the stress of the moment, which we're not even getting to. But I was like, dang,
yeah,
like that that's a good shot. And we could talk about other cases, which I won't bring the names up, but it's like, wow, dang, that's really good for, I don't, and again, allegedly with him, I don't know how he was shooting and doing all this stuff, but
yeah. You hear a lot of
props
these
on that.
quote big air quotes, ballistics, experts and professionals say it's such an easy shot. One of them said, "My 8-year-old daughter can do that all day long." Yeah,
Well,
you've
well,
trained her. You're taking her to the range. She's got all day to make the shot. No pressure. But you're talking
yeah,
about somebody that literally just went up 2 flights of stairs, ran over to a certain section of the building, did whatever he did while he was out of sight, went out there, got laid down, not on a bipod and no super, just literally propped up there. Um, Not to mention, what you're fixing to do. You know, does anybody have eyes on me? Am I going to die as soon as I pull this trigger? What's going to happen after this? Not to mention killing somebody. I mean, like, it's not the same as his 8-year-old daughter
yeah.
shooting
I
paper.
just, like I said,
It is a good
as
shot, in
a
my opinion, considering.
as a person, I was like, dang, okay. As a
Yep.
cop too, like, dang. But I'm not a rifle sniper type SWAT person. So again, I don't know. I'm gonna have to leave that up to you guys. But I was like, holy cow, right? When
Yeah.
you start looking at the details.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, to me, like I said, it is a somewhat impressive shot. It's not just about the distance. I mean, if it was just the distance, okay, that's not that impressive. But like I said, knowing what a person's heart rate and what kind of how they'd be breathing and everything else. I mean, like, it would be hard to get up there and do that, especially without some experience. So, either way. But let me ask you this. I know you're bound to know a little something about this. I mean, have you ever seen a gunshot that did not leave some type of like high speed like splatter, some type of, you know, because doesn't seem that there was any of that.
well, I haven't worked a case where there's been like a high velocity rifle or
Hmm.
things like that. So it's more in the normal range. And again, I haven't seen whatever. I'm assuming, I'm gathering that there wasn't anything.
Right.
Yeah, I think if there was force, traumatic force, um, blowback or blow
Yeah. I
forward or
mean,
whatever you want to call it, because I have seen some bad things with a shotgun
hmm,
in the mouth and guns in the mouth, and right, I've seen some stuff like that. Um, so would I expect it there? More than likely, but
yeah,
again, I don't have any specific
I
training in
got
what
you.
a high caliber round
Yeah.
would
And
do.
and I understand. I mean, you saying absolutely not or absolutely yes, it would have to, but I was curious what
Oh, that's
your
a good
ex
question. That's a good
yeah.
question. So again, going to setting up, I don't know, like they shoot into Jello and they shoot into different stuff, setting something up and
Yep.
because in the civil trials, like even in Karen Reed, John
Hmm.
O'Keefe case, right? They had the dummies and the whole thing.
Yep.
That would be something that for people that want to know, I would set up something like that. And I think you have ranges and you could do something like that. But
Yeah, and there's been some really good ones done. Now, I mean, obviously you're not going to recreate it exactly, but you could get a pretty good idea. What ends up happening is there were a couple creators that were specifically testing for this reason at that rough distance, even at the same approximate angles and such, just to keep it as realistic as possible. And they tried multiple different rounds. That was before, obviously, this past week where we found out potentially or most likely what type of round it actually was. But what you end up getting, and there's one in particular, Lord love him, Gary Melton from Paramount Tactical. If you spend much time at X, you're going to hear that name. I've had my run-ins with him, and most people that are in this space have. But what you get from him is there's so many variables. You can't set up a proper test because there's so many things with an actual person that basically is saying that to do an accurate test to get an idea of what would happen, you literally would have to shoot a living person in the exact same way. No matter what it is, he always has a comeback. Well, what about the clothes? What about the this? What about the that? I mean, like, and at some point you just have to say, okay, it was adequate test, you know, but he never will admit to that. That being said, I've seen several that were shooting literally through big hams and thighs and stuff, like all the way through solid femurs. There was one that shot like through three cow femurs, two concrete
I
blocks,
was
and then
gonna
some
say, was that a
plywood.
cadaver? Like I'm just having some bad visuals right now,
No,
but
no,
go ahead. Yeah.
like just raw meat, like looked like it come from somebody that had butchered one or something, and just surely to God they didn't go buy that stuff at Walmart. That'd get expensive, but yeah, no, I mean, like, you're talking about a cow femur. I mean, you're talking about 2 inches, solid bone. You stack three of those up and it just literally explodes. All three of them goes through two or three concrete blocks and then out the plywood in the back. Then Gary says, yeah, but it's different shooting a spine. There's something about the spine that absorbs some of the impact. And it's just like, oh God, we can't
Well,
have this conversation.
yeah. Well, something I would consider is in cases like this, uh, and maybe people can get together or whatever. You can always when I have families come to me and like it's said it's a suicide, it's not a suicide, or it's this or it's that. You can hire pathologists, you can hire medical examiners. Now we probably don't have access to it, but you can hire people to go over the medical examiner's report. You can also
Oh
get
yeah.
biomechanical people that work specifically on damage to the body and how that happens, and they could maybe work in concert to try to give more answers for that to see if it's possible. But yes, was it full on? Was it glancing? Was it, who knows? But
Yep.
but to try to eliminate some of the speculation, you can do the testing and you
Yeah.
can hire these experts and and then what they say about that, right? But
Yeah.
but,
I
but
can't wait to see what they do in trial, like what kind of experts and what kind of testing, actually
yeah,
gets done.
but just to get your own answers, right? If
Hmm.
there's a group of people or agencies or things that want to do that, that is one of the first kind of steps, right? Not, I mean, we watching the case, if we get to watch it, right? Because the defense keeps arguing about
Right.
that, but to do something maybe beforehand,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
cool if crowdsource the funds for that, maybe, and
Mhm.
yeah, because look, it's like I've always said, the law enforcement, and I say that with air quotes because I mean there's so many different agencies and entities that they work with for that kind of thing, but they have got tests that they can do that will fairly accurately represent, a human body and the bone and the tendon and you know what I mean? Like they have ways of testing that stuff. So that would be pretty cool to
Yeah,
do.
maybe at the body, what is it? The Body Farm, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I could hear it now though. I was even thinking about that. I was like, if somebody could get a hold of it like a cadaver, somebody that had donated that thing to science, you could shoot it and he would come back and still say, no, that's not right because there was no oxygen being inhaled. And I could just hear it now. Some of these people, they just, God, it's hard to have a reasonable conversation. But anyway, yeah, I've been curious what you thought on that one. Let's see, what are some other things that were just totally wacky? I had another one on my mind until I started talking about that, and then I lost
She
it.
started talking about hams.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about dinner.
Let's see. Okay, so this is something else I've been curious
Okay.
about. Um, it just seems to me, it seems odd that, and look, I get it. It ordinarily, murder happens, homicide happens, whatever state
Yeah,
it's
don't
in.
call it murder.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was funny. But so a homicide happens. Whatever state it's in gets the jurisdiction, the state prosecutes it, and all that. Now, it just seems to me we already know that there was communication with people on Discord. Unless everybody was run down and you're 100% sure that all those people lived in Utah, then just by that you have people over the state line, outside of the state of Utah that at least could have some type of foreknowledge or but then when you start looking at it from this is the way I look at it from the perspective of the man not only is known worldwide but is into politics big time.
You
One of
talk
the
about Charlie?
presidents, yeah, one of the
Okay.
president's, most trusted advisors. Um, so definitely, nationwide and somewhat worldwide, he's just the fact
Let
that
me
he's
let me
known.
see if I know where you're going.
Yeah.
Are you thinking that there should have been some like blanket secret digital bing bing bing?
No,
Okay,
I
like bing
wasn't
bing
going that.
bing.
I
There's
was.
a threat. There's a threat made that he was on the monitored list or whatever. Okay, sorry.
You're
Go
at,
ahead. Yeah.
no, and look, I could get into all that, but I'm not going to go full crazy on you. But it just seems like to me, because now what we have is this is to me this has caused a lot of confusion. You have the FBI offering, stepping in, offering, we'll help you do this, that, or the other. Well, they go in there, they help, you know, all the resources that's needed. Um, and then they end up doing the testing on the you know, bullet, whatever it was that they found. They're doing all the testing for the DNA and all that. Um, so they have been involved, but especially when you start talking about the foreign thing, there was that whole thing with Joe Kent trying to look into it. The FBI shuts it down. No, this is a state case. Utah has investigated it. Utah is prosecuting this. Leave it alone. So it just seems to me like instead of the FBI just getting in there and kind of being involved just enough for everybody to want to ask questions to the FBI, and then for them to pass it back off to Utah, why did they not just step in and lead on it? Seems to me like if somebody is killed for political reasons, that is the definition of terrorism, domestic terrorism. It seems like the FBI could have taken that thing without anybody even
Blinking
questioning
an
if they
eye.
wanted to.
Yeah. You raised an interesting point, and I don't know if we were talking about that earlier or somebody had made a comment in my chat about why are they coming in like this? And it didn't seem to me, now granted, we didn't have a lot of this, bank robberies, things like that, but we didn't really have the incursion, shall we say, of the feds coming in, and talking about some of the cases like Nancy here, they're in, they're out, they've got it, they don't have
Right.
it. This one, like, what are they doing? And if I hear again about and not being negative to the FBI, but if I hear one more time about the FBI lab versus the other labs, the public doesn't really understand how all this stuff works and
Yeah.
who is really doing this work.
Yeah,
But
it's a private lab that's going to be doing it contracted. I understand
well,
that
people don't
completely.
understand that, and then this one's better than this one, and all this stuff, and yes, so I don't have an answer for that. Do I say, right? So I'm just thinking through this as I say it. For instance, I caught a bank robber and I had it taken away from me, and they
Hmm.
got all the glory.
Yeah.
Okay. And nothing was said about I physically caught the guy by myself, right? But
Right.
okay. So you have animosity, right? Again, not to mention Nancy again, but we hear of all this
Oh, I mean,
animosity and different things going on. Well, you can't do this and you can't do that and you shouldn't do this and we're the best and you're, all the ego.
yep.
But yes, if they're going to me, there's a difference between all hands on deck and we're the best at this specific thing.
Right.
And like one of the things, again, going back to this round, maybe that's something that the military might have a better understanding or better experience with testing or things like that,
Hmm.
with round production for lethality or something like that. But yeah, so I don't know why they're half in or half out. For instance, in the Nancy case, we heard some things from the president, I thought, about things being taken care of or whatever. And no victim, in my eyes, should be better than another victim, although we don't know. And I say this from the police department, there is so much stuff that goes on that you don't know what goes on. And many times it would scare the bejesus out of you if you really knew what was going on. So maybe sometimes it's better that you don't know what's going on.
Right.
But yes, to boil that down, it just makes a mess of it to me. Um, so I don't have an answer for that. And again, one case shouldn't be better than another case.
No,
And I don't understand it.
it seems to me like it's just kind of a convenient thing for the state of Utah. Take for instance, I mean, as a good example, you've got the FBI that stepped in to help them do certain aspects, and then when they have a hearing, the the defense gets up and says, "Look, we're looking at FBI, ATF, whatever reports saying they found DNA consistent with Tyler Robinson. We're not getting any underlying data. We have no idea how this was collected, how it was analyzed. We have no idea. We've got a report saying that they found something consistent with his DNA. Same thing with the quote unquote bullet, fragments. The other thing was, Catherine Nestor herself stood there in court and said, the gun's still at Quantico. So it seems like on some of these things that it would be really important for them to have some of this other stuff. The state can just be like, nope, we ain't got it. The FBI has it. Talk to them.
Okay, well, you brought up a lot of good points. Hopefully, I can remember some of them. And I sound like, I do have a soapbox about some of this stuff with regards to DNA and what I've seen in the forensic genetic genealogy
Yeah, I've
sphere.
noticed you're really up on the DNA thing, which is good.
Well, I just, it's interesting to me, in the STR thing, I really hadn't delved too much into it, and more so concerned about what I mentioned was the reporting thing. That I don't want to forget my other piece, but that's a whole nother tangent. But going back to, where was I going with that? So here, what you were talking about was, we had the preliminary hearing, and you have to understand that at the preliminary hearing, it's only probable cause, right? So forget about the information and all these things, and so many cases don't even get a challenge to a preliminary hearing. Some people don't even get a preliminary hearing, okay?
Right.
And all you need, okay, going back to the dinosaur days, the officer came, the officer saw, and the officer arrested.
Right.
And that is it. You
Yeah.
don't get DNA reports and all this stuff and all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if this preliminary hearing was held within a couple days like normal,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't have all this. And
Right.
and it is probable cause based on and I went through on my channel, I read through the state of Utah. It was from the AI, but I read through what it said about the Utah probable cause, right? And it's in the leaning towards the prosecution. It is a very thin sandwich there.
Right.
Okay. Now, going back to,
Well, I mean, and the question is for the prosecution, do you have enough to, do you have enough for us to hold a trial? And
okay.
right?
Okay, but we can, let me go back and let me give you
Yeah.
the cop perspective. And I've never been a
Right.
prosecutor, but I can talk about what I've had to present, what I've had to satisfy. Okay,
Mhm.
you could, in theory, with, I believe it was Agent Hall, identifying Mr. Robinson, right? Like,
Mhm.
I had
Mhm.
some comments, why aren't they saying alleged? Because in his mind, from his determination and the officer that was on the corner, all the totality of the circumstances of the information that was relayed to him, maybe him looking at the driver's license and him looking at the photos and the videos that we didn't see or whatever, forget about the DNA.
Right.
Okay? Forget about the DNA. You got reported text messages on the phone, which
Mhm.
may be an admission.
Yep.
The video, the driver's license, the other cop saw him. You don't even need the DNA. Okay. Probable cause is very, very narrow. Okay.
Right.
So having all this hearing and stuff like this, it's very rare. And to the extent that the defense was going at it with when the state kept objecting. Okay.
Right. Right.
So now, going back to the other point, in the trial, they should be getting the whole thing. The defense should be looking at the bench notes, the FedEx receipts, all those things, which,
Right.
and I will bring up
For chain of custody.
my bone to pick with Koberger, because in the Fry hearing, and they sat there, and the detective said, and this is what I say all the time. They just mail that stuff out behind a brick wall, and God knows what happens to it. And we
Right.
saw that in Koberger,
Yeah.
where the detective sat there and said, they didn't give me anything. Well, did you get a report? Well, what did you put into the RFP? Well, we were supposed to get a report, and then we didn't get a preliminary report, and then we didn't get bench notes, and that's just how we do it. Okay. So hopefully in the regular trial, because I believe he's going to be bound over, the defense.
Yeah, I don't see any way it doesn't go to trial.
Yeah, the defense is going to have to ask for that, right?
Let me
So
ask you this.
I don't know if I answered the question, but there's so many other pieces that come into this that we're just not at that stage yet. We're kind of like, I think I want cake. I think I want cake, and I'm going to go to the store. Okay, like we're there. We haven't even gone to the store. We haven't even tried to put the cake together. Maybe we've picked out the recipe, and we're going to go to the store. So we're we can't even eat the cake yet.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it is hard, especially for people that are not, in this space, who don't actually work in
the first time we're seeing it. So we're
Right.
all like,
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
Because
what?
it is.
I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's not normally like that. Yeah.
We're hungry. We're hungry for dessert, right?
and
So
that's
we're ready. We want that.
Yep.
We want that instant cake right now.
A lot of public interest in this thing. But so, okay, and I agree 100%. It is hard to it's hard to separate this from the actual trial when a jury
Mhm,
is going to be sitting there.
mhm.
This is literally just the surface level, just to prove that they have a reason to suspect him at the end
Correct,
of the day, just to put it
correct.
simply. That being said, um, so some of those points that I was mentioning earlier specifically were the defense basically this wasn't in the preliminary. This was at one of the hearings. I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months ago. But after 6 months, would they not have that stuff? The phone was the other thing. She had said that she still has not ever had access, had not seen or touched his phone. I mean, how long does it usually take for the defense to get some of those things? I mean, is all that gonna? I mean, is it ordinary for them to not get any of that stuff till after a preliminary hearing? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
No. Well, so I have a case
I mean, I get the
that
public not being in on this, but it
no, no,
seems
no,
like
no, no,
some of
no.
that stuff,
No, no,
the
no. No. Like I said, you would be surprised. I had a case that 5 years still did not have discovery. The defendant didn't have the discovery, okay? Didn't we hear, and I want to go back to that, but didn't we hear, was it the FBI lady or was it the ATF lady that said they run about 180, 200 days
mm,
behind? Okay. I know that one of the local crime labs here hasn't processed evidence for 3 years. Okay.
good Lord.
So, and I will tell you, one of the major metro cities here, when I go down to request police reports, it's over a year. I actually witnessed one of the attorneys from the
It's
attorney
crazy.
general's office screaming at the people because they had a hearing and they needed the data. And I actually went up to her and I said, "Look, if you could fix this because we go through this all the time, but it's acceptable, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not unreasonable, but I also think like the public can states are getting better and there are groups that there are laws in some states that challenge and have particulars about it has to be quick
Right.
even for the public, all right? And so if they're not enforcing that, then it might come whenever, but no, that is not unreasonable whatsoever, and to expect to have it at a preliminary hearing, I was very surprised. I was
Okay.
very
I
but
was
we
just
waited,
curious.
what was it, 6 months? How long was it?
Yeah.
Almost
It
a
was
year?
6 months.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
so,
At that
yeah.
at that point, that whatever hearing that was, yeah, it was like it'd been at least 6 months, and they hadn't gotten, according to her, they
It
really hadn't gotten much anything.
it's become, and this is where I think it's so important, and I
But now,
tell
if you'll
my
remember, they had to push the preliminary hearing out because they hadn't got certain things, or at least that's by
well, and
listening to
that
them.
yeah, well, that's why the trials get
But that
pushed,
may
but
be normal too.
well, well, anytime you don't have the data, you can't make a good argument,
Right.
right? But like I'm saying, most preliminary hearings just, if they have one, go on the officer's testimony. Now, this is why I like trying to educate the public about what really goes on because we as constituents need to argue because it's become acceptable
Yeah.
that, well, oh
That's just the way
well,
it goes.
yeah, no, we need to start standing up and saying, no, we need access to this. We need access to this quicker because the judges and sometimes you need to get the judges involved because they get in trouble. You need to know the lever to pull on the people. The judges
Right.
get in trouble if they're not moving their docket fast enough, right? So if you go to the judge and say, look, your honor, I would be ready to go if I didn't get this, then the judge can lay down some pressure
Right.
on why this isn't happening. But no, it can take all kinds of time to get stuff.
I was just curious about that, because, well, like you said, I mean, you can't prepare any kind of defense arguments against what you don't know, I mean, so I didn't know how that worked. It seemed to me, and I could be wrong, but it seemed to me if at 6 months they had a report stating what was found, that it would just kind of make sense to me that they would also have the underlying data. They just hadn't sent it. You know what I mean? You would think that if they had the report of what the findings, that they would have the rest, and that they were just holding it for whatever reason. But I could be
Well,
wrong. I could
well,
be told.
in the preliminary hearing, that probably wouldn't come in. Like, I
Right.
agree with the state that, I mean, I liked, standing in the defense shoes, I liked what the defense was doing,
Yeah.
hitting all those points. But yeah, it was tedious and it was taking too long.
It
And
was
it was
definitely tedious.
abnormal to me, right? So I liked it, but then I was like, please stop arguing. But that
Because it
is
doesn't matter.
well, that is not typical.
Right.
So the defense may already have those items in their discovery,
Yeah.
but they just didn't pull them out. Like, they didn't show that card. And I
Yeah.
want to add one thing. So I had another case, 2.5 years, getting ready to, they're pressuring the guy to go to trial. And I was working as a law enforcement expert on that case. I had to tell the prosecutor still that there was still evidence that they didn't even know existed, because they don't know how the police department operates. There were 2 different radio channels and other information that we didn't have. And it was only because of my knowledge of way all the parts come together that I said, no, I'm telling you, there's missing communications, there's missing items, and you have to get this. And so I had to instruct the prosecutor how to get it, right? Because here's what happens. The prosecutor typically just says to the police department, give me everything.
Give me everything.
That's related to X. Well,
Yeah.
they don't understand that calls might have come in under another number and reports might have gotten misfiled under another number. They don't understand that TAC people work on this channel and these people work. And if the CAD, right, it's like a relational database. If the CAD, the computer aided dispatch, doesn't put it all together the right way, they're going to think they have it when they don't have it.
Right.
Right. So if you get a newbie lawyer, these defense lawyers seem like they're pretty on the ball. But if you get a newbie defense lawyer that they don't know about the bench notes and all that stuff, like, who knows what they really get taught
Right.
in law school, in the particulars, like, they learn the law, but do they really learn the nitty gritty? I don't know. For the
That
lawyer
kind of
over
thing
here.
probably just has to come with
Exactly, experience. So if you don't have the experience, right?
Yep.
So yeah, so who knows? But yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a long time.
That's
This
so
is
interesting.
what I love, because you guys don't understand the animal,
Right.
right? I say it is not about, people gonna hate me. It is not about guilt or innocence. It is about
At this point.
this process.
Yep.
It's like a Netflix show, and I say it's a chess game. This group of producers is deciding on their storyline and their cast of characters, and they're going to put it on prosecution. And then the defense is making like how you've seen 2 different versions of the same story, right? Like Menendez brothers or whatever. There's this show and this show, right? So then you have the other production team over here, and they've got their cast, and they're coming up with their plot line and their storyline. And the jury and us, we're the audience, and we're either going to say, I like this show better or this show better.
Right.
And that's it. That's it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. And I, like I said, it was interesting to watch.
Don't have to like it. Yeah, we don't have to like it, but you better darn understand it, especially if you're going to be a victim of it in any sense, and if you're paying for it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They work for us, so they're supposed to. So that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I know, I mean, you know way more about the way all this stuff works than for me, for sure, and a bunch of these people that I hang out with here all the time. So let's see. I just thought of something as you were talking about that related, and now I've lost it again. It'll come to me here in a second. No, it's not your fault. Ham, that's right.
Netflix.
Brisket.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We were talking about not getting the information and.
That's all right. Well, I'll think of it. and it probably wasn't anything super. It was just a aha for a second, and then I lost it. Um, so let's see. And I do want to talk about the trial here. So there was just especially a couple of those big things I wanted to ask about. All right, let's see if there was there anything else that I wanted to ask you about as far as the investigation in general. I mean, there's been lots of stuff, but yeah,
Holsters and
the
bullets.
yeah, yeah. Um, what about, okay, here's another one. What about, and again, you would probably have to speculate some on this, but maybe not. I mean, how often do you, all right, here's the first part of this. Has been a major controversy
Okay.
because this calls into question all of the Discord confession. Okay. Not too, I don't know how familiar you are with the timelines, but I want to say it was right at 9 o'clock, give or take a little bit, when he supposedly went on to Discord and said, hey, you're gonna hear about it in the news or whatever, or if you heard about it, that was me, and thank y'all for all the good times. I'm probably going to be going away for a while, the quote unquote confession on Discord. So that was about 9 o'clock. So, according to some documents, because the timelines, that's something, and I'm not prepared to pull all this stuff up and show you, each different place, but, it seems like he was in custody. Well, so he was in custody to some extent by
He was at the
6:20,
sheriff's office
right, at 6:25 p.m. on the 11th.
at 6:25 p.m.
See, you hadn't even heard that number, have you?
Mm-mm.
So, oh
What
man, I
time
should pull
zone?
that up.
What
I
time
should pull
zone?
that up. So that's allowing for the time zone. I mean, like that would have been accurate. It would have been 6:25 Mountain. That's Mountain time, isn't it? Or is that Pacific time? Mountain or Pacific? Anyway,
Oh, in Utah? I'm not sure what
yeah.
Utah time
But
is too.
yes, that would have been it would have been
Mountain
6:20.
time?
Yeah,
Okay.
it would have been 6:25 p.m.
Local time.
there.
We just say local time.
Yeah,
Okay.
local time because that's where that report was
Right,
written,
right.
obviously. So that being said, where the controversy comes in is nobody really argues that he had showed up at the sheriff's department at 6:25 on the 11th. And look, when we get done, I'll shoot you a link if you want to look into that just a little bit. There's a good video. It's not super long, but he lays out the documents and everything that proves out that he was there. Um, so, because you don't really get much of a story until he was picked up by Brian Davis. Isn't that what his name? Yeah. So, isn't he the one that came from um, Utah County
Yeah, I
and
think
picked him up in Washington County?
yes, I think he went down there because
Yeah.
the FBI had twigs at the PD at St. George PD, I think they said,
Yeah.
and then Davis went down.
Yeah.
The second case agent went down,
Yeah, to
flew
pick up
down,
Tyler because
flew
Tyler had,
down.
yeah, flew down. Yeah. So Tyler, turned himself in Washington County and up around 6:25 is what we're going with. And like I said, that is documented, but like with the, uh, like the probable cause documents and all that, it's like the clock starts ticking, when Brian Davis had him in custody is kind of the way they have it. They really don't talk about that much before in specifics. I'm trying to remember which document it was that had that 6:25. It may drive me crazy. I may just have to pull that up here in a minute. But that being said, so 6:25 was when he was at the jail in Washington County. Now, um, if that is the case, where the controversy on X has been is, was he Mirandized at 6:25, and were his personal effects taken, Or did he show up to the sheriff's office? Hey, how you doing? And they let him in there, and he lounged around there till Brian Davis got there. Never read his rights, never in any kind of, not detained in any way, still access to his phone and all that to make these Discord posts. And what I feel like, and what a lot of people that agree with me feel like, is when he showed up at 6:25, he would have been Mirandized, and his phone would have been taken, and he would have sat there and waited. You don't
No,
think so?
no. So,
Wow.
and I can look through my notes. I'm flipping through my chart here. I can look at my notes
Yeah.
because I did scribble down. I would have to look at it because I remember he said they got the call and they flew down, and I thought Davis, and I could look, arrived. I'm thinking like 9-ish, 10-ish, because I remember in my mind 11 p.m. or
That's
midnight or
right.
something. Okay.
That's right. Man, you know, if you do the math, it's like a 3-hour trip, which
Okay.
would put it about 6:30 when he got there.
If you want me to look, I can look because I thought it was later when
Yeah,
he said,
I'm
let me
gonna
see.
start looking for that
What day did,
myself on
yeah.
my end.
So, okay. So if you look for that, what day, I'm trying to think, what day did Davis testify? The state rested, so he has to be, sorry for the flipping folks.
Let's see. No, you're
But-
good. That was he it was yesterday, wasn't it? I believe. What, didn't he testify yesterday?
No, it was the lady, wasn't it? The ATF. It was the
Okay.
ATF
Yeah.
lady.
Yeah.
I'm
So
just trying to think. Okay, let's see. Because he was talking about who. If you can find it, but let me go to that point. So
yeah, I'm looking for this.
the way I'm imagining it right now,
Uh-huh.
given my experience about what happens, there, I don't know if there was a plan for him to turn himself in or he just turned himself in. Okay. So the goal of the family friend, and again, I'm just speculating here. The
Yep.
goal of the family friend, who I understand to be in law enforcement, somehow related or whatever, would be like, I need to get this boy to the police department where
Yeah.
the police are. Okay.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I call habeas corpus, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
Right.
get him in a building where there's reinforcements. Okay. If everything is true, as I'm just trying to speculate in his mind. So
Yeah.
he would go there to get him there, whatever. Now, I remember Davis saying, I believe, that they talked to mom first, then they talked to dad,
Mhm.
then they talked to him. Now, I can't say everybody. Many people get confused about when Miranda should be read.
Yeah.
And there is a delicate nuance about when you should read it, because you have to read it if the person is in custody, i.e., not free to go,
Right.
and you're asking questions that might incriminate them.
Right.
So until he was formally questioned, which we've now heard, fly down, mom, dad, or whatever, okay, that's quite a bit of time. Give like 30 minutes each person, whatever, flight, the whole thing, okay?
Right.
And you don't want to Mirandize, because a smart defendant will be like, I'm not talking. And
Right.
once they invoke, you're done. You can't talk to them anymore. Okay. So it's a very delicate balance. And cops will tell you, good detectives, like, you have to do that exactly right. And you have to judge when you're going to do it. And if you think, I mean, obviously you shouldn't ask the questions, but
Right.
you got to judge it. Are we ready to ask the questions? Do we want to ask the questions? What if he invokes? What are we going to do? How should we do that? Like there is a science and nuance behind that. So he should not have been Mirandized as soon as he stepped in the building. Now,
Right.
should his phone have been taken? I would probably say
Would you
yes.
know? Yeah.
But we don't know if
Stranger
he
things have happened.
like we don't know if he just walked into the sheriff's office and said to the dispatcher behind the glass, "Hey, I killed Charlie Kirk and I'm turning myself in." That would have been
Right.
a holy you know what moment, okay?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so they don't know what to do. They're making phone calls like we got the guy and whatever. And
Right.
and here's another possibility. They might have wanted to make him happy and let him have his phone to say his goodbyes
Yeah.
so he didn't walk back out the door and bolt, allegedly, if it's
Yeah.
right. Okay, so it's a whole nuanced thing. So that's kind of just my initial.
It just seems to me that if they knew when he walked in the door who he was and what he supposedly had done, which, according to the account, this ex-cop buddy that, the family friend had called ahead and spoken to the sheriff's department, and there had been some concessions and, some back and forth on how this was to go down. Um, so I mean, they knew who he was and what he was supposed to do, or it would appear they did. When
Okay.
he got there, it just seems like something like that.
Well,
They
well,
couldn't let him
maybe.
walk back out the door no matter what. But now I could be wrong. It just seems like something like that.
Well, they hadn't. They okay. Well, let's talk about this. Let's
But
play
I don't
devil's
know.
advocate. Well, let's play
No.
devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Hull was talking about watching the video. As far as I can remember, I don't remember Davis saying how much he was familiar with the video. So
Right.
maybe Davis could have not been comfortable with the level of probable cause to make the arrest and wanted to hear it from the horse's mouth. Remember, he's not with Twigs.
Yeah.
So now you can make concessions, right? Like are you hungry? Can I get you
Right.
some food? Right? Because
I do know they gave him water. That was
well,
part of.
you want everything to go your way as the cop. And I'm not talking about coercion or anything like that. Like you want the confession if you can get the
Yeah.
confession. So could there have been some talking and he said, "Hey, I just want to say a goodbye to my friends." I mean, people have called spouses and done like
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's not as cut and dry that he walked in the door and was slammed in a cell
Right.
and read
No. Yeah.
Miranda.
Yeah.
That
And
doesn't happen like that.
I think according to the report, or maybe it was I don't know, anyway, that he had been put in an interview room and waited there. Um, but yeah, all right. So I found it. Now this is a video. This is part of this document it's showing here. So I'm not sure exactly where it's going to start at, but let me pull this up real quick and
Okay.
show it to you. All right. I don't know if it's big enough for you to actually see, but let's see where I'm gonna see where it's at. I might have to back it up just a little bit.
By one of
Is this
the
from a
I don't
pleading?
know if this was
Do what now?
Is this from a pleading? Where did this document come from?
Yes, and I can't remember exactly which one it was. I wish this wasn't just a cutout because I have seen the whole document, but I cannot remember which one. But this is the report of when he turned himself in and
Okay.
about when he requested his lawyer and all that. So let's see.
Brooksby or somebody in.
Because see, that's the thing, is they did try to interrogate him when he first got there before Davis picked him up, is another reason why I feel like he would have been Mirandized and officially under arrest. Maybe not though. Let me play this real
there,
quick
but
here.
they said they'd love to talk to him.
Let's see. I'm gonna back it up just a little bit. Let's see.
Transcript of Tyler Robinson being Mirandized by one of the I don't know if this was Brooksby or somebody in there, but they said they'd love to talk to him. They read him his rights here. He can remain silent at 6:25 p.m. And that's where Tyler says, I would like to speak to my legal counsel. So he invoked his Fifth Amendment right.
Yeah, he didn't read it verbatim. So anyway, but it's right here. It says, "So Tyler, before we begin, I'm just going to read you your rights." So we know he was Mirandized. I guess that part we do know. It's just whether
And
he
he
would have had.
invoked. See, he invoked.
Right, and he did. But this is at 6:25 p.m. on the
Okay.
11th. So how would he have made Discord posts at 9 o'clock on the 11th? Unless he still had his phone, which seems to me would be a very, very unlikely thing.
Okay, here's the note. Let's see. So he says, I have a note here, 8:30 p.m., 9/11, St. George. So he flew at 8:30 and he got there at 11:30 p.m.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I have in my notes. So they could have tried to read him. The sheriff's office could have tried to read him. And so then I don't know. I don't remember was there ever a confession or a conversation with him
No,
after?
no.
Okay.
Not here. This is cause and then shortly, after this, or within a few hours after this, Davis shows up and he's taken back to
You just took him?
yeah. But this is where he said, let's see, are you good to proceed? I'd love to talk to you. This is at 6:26 p.m. I would like to speak with legal counsel. I'm hoping for a fellow in Utah, Doug Terry. And the officer says, okay. And I mean, there's more, but basically,
Did
I guess,
Doug Perry show up?
no. So I don't remember what the reason was, but also the other part of this conversation that's not showing is he said he's heard that he's a really good attorney, around here, or really well known. But that he and his parents were trying to contact him, but that he was closed for the day, or closed for. So so anyway, that's where that conversation ended. He invoked his Fifth Amendment right, and that was that. So I guess if you could assume that at 6:25 p.m. on the 11th that he was read and attempted to be, they attempted to get a statement from him, how likely would it have been he had his phone in his pocket?
Well, I would like, I think this is interesting. I think from a FOIA standpoint, or if it comes out, to see who
Right.
did that. Because
Yep.
let me tell you, if I'm the detective and I'm flying down and some
You're right.
did that,
Some deputy, sheriff's deputy.
Yahoo did that, I would be, and that's why I'm saying it's
Yep.
delicate balance, right? I would
Yep.
be ticked. But it could have been. I'm not going to even speculate. So
Yeah.
follow up with me on that. I would love to
Yeah.
see that. But
I
they
figured
could
I'd bring it up in case you hadn't heard of that. But see,
they,
this right here
yeah.
would completely discredit the Discord messages. And I don't know how
Well,
much you've looked into
okay.
some of these alternatives, but there's a lot of people that feel strongly that Lance was doing all that.
Yeah, no, I'm just coming in with the pleadings, but
Yeah.
it could be. I mean, there could be like UTC time, like things being offset, like we see on video surveillance all the time. Yes, somebody else could be doing it, and there should have been video in the room, right? I know we saw
That's
didn't
the
we
other
saw
thing I
we
was
saw
gonna
a glimpse
ask.
of it with the Marine shirt, and then we couldn't see it or whatever.
Yep.
So excuse me, there should be video in the room, and the Miranda card should be like, there should be body worn camera, there should be video of him coming into the police department. Hopefully they preserve that, and all
Well,
that should
I
have been
don't
in
know if
a
they
room.
did. Did you hear about
No,
did you hear the
no, well,
story that,
somebody send a preservation letter.
yeah. Did you hear that story though, where they had asked for that footage? One of the news, I don't remember which one it was, but one of the news organizations, whichever one it was, had requested that, and they got a letter back saying that basically that because it'd been past 30 days, it was automatically deleted. I mean,
So
no.
that could be raised potentially as an issue in the trial.
Yeah, I mean, like, who would delete? I mean, like, look, one of the highest profile murders, like, in the
Okay,
past
wait a minute.
decades,
Okay, wait a minute. So
homicides,
I don't know that sheriff's office.
right?
Okay.
Yeah,
I've
me
got
neither.
I've got a case right now that I got the same thing going on, and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
and it's a big old apartment and it wasn't preserved. Again, you have to look at, and I get in trouble with this in my personal life sometimes because I'm always, as a cop, you're trained, maybe military, same thing, like everything is out to get you, and you always need to think, what bad is going to happen, right? You're in the
Right.
mitigation thing, right? So you're always scanning for threats, like, okay. And
Worst
so,
case scenario all the
yeah,
time.
so you tend to think negative. So you're always like, I gotta get this, gotta get that. That's the way that I look at something. Like I'm always like, and I will add this caveat. I started out my legal career working in the public defender's office as a paralegal, okay? And I saw how they used to roast cops every morning, reading arrest reports and all that stuff, and they used to laugh with glee.
Oh
And
God.
and that was before I ever decided to be a cop. And so when I decided to be a cop, I was like, mm-mm,
I already know how it goes.
will never happen to me. Okay.
Yeah.
So I look at everything with that, like I said, downstream, like what is gonna happen. And
Yep.
a lot of people don't. They just focus in the moment. So
Right now.
yeah, so who knows what
That would be crazy if they really didn't have that footage.
let me just say, if something happened, like, okay, so we know now from some of these high profile cases, if you have a camera on your house, you better have the subscription. Okay. So when the boogeyman shows up,
Yep. Yeah, you
to
actually
find
get
the
it.
video, okay?
Yep.
Right. And if something happens to you, you get involved in a case, you want to look at a case, send a preservation letter or file that FOIA request immediately. The
Right.
video is the most important thing. You have got to, most things right over it.
Yeah.
With 30 days, you got to get that. That is number one priority.
God. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, day in and day out, it's doing its thing. You never think anything
Well,
of it. And then
yeah, and because with the police department, remember, like I said, it runs it like a business, and that storage for that video, think about how many cameras they have. It's probably broadcasting in high def or whatever. Like, do they have it in the budget to
Right.
to save all that, right? Because their internal things, except for maybe the Sally Port and the booking area, where they might in the jail cells, like the rest of it, nothing's going to happen out in the rest of it, or like who
Right.
knows, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what to say
That's
about
just
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I
Well,
was
maybe
like,
can't
"Oh,
afford it.
you got to be kidding me."
But that's typical. It is
Yeah.
so typical. It is so typical.
That's what I was wondering. I mean, that's why I'm asking you about it. How often does it actually happen? Because we're
All
not going to
the
hear about
time.
it.
All the
Yeah.
time. And then you go someplace and there's a camera and you're like, oh my God, great camera. They're like, oh, that don't work.
Yeah, it never works.
Yeah.
Well, I got a short list here. We'll run through it real quick.
Okay.
I don't want to just keep you too long. All right, so we kind of touched on the one, Bagley and his name, with the body cam off. Um, did you pay a whole lot of attention to him, like the way he answered that? Like he started stumbling. Did you notice that when he was answering about the body cam, why he didn't have any more footage than that? And
I didn't really pay attention to that. I kind of knew what happened to that.
Yeah. They're
Like
good
I
for
was like,
14 hours. I mean, come on. And it happened to go off right as he got on the roof. I mean, and then this is the other thing I really wanted to ask you about that
yep.
situation. Okay. He says that he took somebody for backup. When she asked who it was, he said he was a plainclothes guy that had a badge and a gun. Well, who was it? I don't know. I just needed somebody to go with me. So all the reports that were made, again, high profile, homicide, not murder. All of this, never at any point did he or anybody have to either take a statement from this guy or, I mean, at some point ask his name, like nothing, no idea who this person is that you took up on the roof with you. To me, seems asinine. I mean, and maybe, but good God.
Well, okay. So maybe I missed that part because I'm replaying my watching and my note taking in my head.
She
And
asked
so,
if he was the only one, and he said no, that he had had this
okay,
plainclothes
all right,
guy go.
well, let me, so how this is unfolding, right? So I'm picturing them, coming down the stairs, and he's walking in the amphitheater area, and then they're like, there's a holster there.
Exactly. That's part of this whole thing. Yep, I was
Right?
going
Like,
there too.
let me play the movie. Huh. Okay.
Yep.
Now I thought that he said that Chief Long was next to him.
Right.
Okay. And then I don't know, like then we skip to something else, and there's some dude in plain clothes with a badge,
Mhm.
and he didn't know nothing about it,
Yep.
and he just came up to him, and I must have missed the part about that's who he went on
Yeah.
the roof
Yep.
with.
Yep.
But I'm thinking like that could be like kind of creepy,
Yes.
because a suspect could have come, like, unless I know you. I mean, and let me just say, love the campus cops and all that, but like regular officers that are in the cities and the things, like we know
It's
the
like the small
people.
town cops that just
Yeah, like,
literally
well, we know everybody, right? So,
yeah.
hey, Bob, hey, so when, somebody walks up behind you in plain clothes, and again, he didn't, I'm not saying don't trust the badge, but I'd be like,
I could buy a badge off of Amazon that from a distance looks good
but
enough.
I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it would be like,
If
and
you were taking him for backup, that means you're going to put your life in the guy's hands, basically. If you really
well,
don't know, there may be a bad guy on the roof.
well, not, what if he's the bad guy?
Exactly. Besides that point, that's the first most obvious point. But then, if he's
Well,
not the bad guy,
well, to me, okay, so
oh
I'm
God,
I'm thinking, right, as because I'm scribbling my notes, and I'm thinking like, because remember, it's pandemonium, right? All heck is breaking loose.
yeah,
But then the chief was there, and then the chief wasn't there, and then the dude comes up, and he doesn't know who the dude is, but yet the cavalry hadn't come, right? Because he's having to do all this stuff himself. When you walk, let me tell you, when there's a bad scene, right? Because cops have shot other cops, and
yeah,
like you walk up and you're like, hey man, marshal's office, or blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
and like there's a greeting. It's not like, hey Bob, it's oh hey, I'm with the, you need some help, because cops don't incur come into another thing that's going on. Like
right,
you want to ask permission, like, do you need help? Can I
yes,
help with the medical thing, or how can I help you? I'm with
yeah.
whoever, whatever. Yeah, so that was creepy
I
weird. Yeah.
mean, it'd be one thing too if it was somewhere like, say, New York State, but you're in
On a
Utah,
college campus.
an open carry state, and I mean, a lot of people
Well,
there at the time were carrying. So, I mean, seeing a gun wouldn't necessarily mean anything. I mean, he claims he had a
well, I'd
badge,
be
but
like, after there was just a shooting, like I would be focused on guns. Like I
yeah,
still like, I'm gonna say, but I like, I
uh-huh,
get to get the vibe right now.
yeah,
Maybe the unknown dude, was attending the event, and when it went down, he put his creds on, his badge on,
yep.
and went to go help. Now,
Again, at some point, you'd think somebody would have
he
either
has to
taken a
be.
statement or asked his name.
Well, he has to be in a report somewhere. He has to be
Yeah,
on the video camera, doesn't he? Because
I mean,
well, wait a minute. Don't we have video camera? I mean, I know we only saw that short portion, but we should have video camera of the whole cleanup, triage, medical, empty
yeah, I'll have
holster
to go
thing
back
on
and look at that and see if I can find Bagley and find
because
somebody going with him. Because
it was the chief, and then it was poof, some other dude.
yeah, some other
Yeah, that was
dude.
weird. Yeah. Yeah. It was like,
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
thought I
don't
thought
get
okay.
behind me.
Well, I'm glad we definitely agree on that one. That one was weird to
Yeah,
me.
let me know. I don't know. Yeah.
Just strange. And of course he never went back to change his battery or anything.
Well,
He didn't have any the rest of the
maybe he
day.
didn't know it died.
Right.
I mean, I think I didn't carry those. I think it might make a beep, 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 like
Exactly.
hopefully it would make a noise like they would be built with that. But
Yeah. I mean, he sounded pretty confident that the battery died when he got up there. So,
well, if you take it home and you don't charge it because you were tired and you didn't want to go back, like happens when you don't want to go back to the office, so you don't charge your flashlight and you don't charge your radio and you
yep.
don't charge your body cam because you're like, nothing's gonna happen tomorrow. I just gotta work this extra duty deal. Like,
Yeah.
ain't nothing gonna happen.
I see how it could happen, but it's just everything happens at just the damnedest times.
It's
You know what I mean?
always the way in the cases. The one thing you need, whether it's the building, I'm telling you, it's the
Yep.
one thing that you need, and it crapped out.
It crapped out. Yep. For whatever reason.
Or someone didn't record it. Someone didn't take a recording. They didn't write it down.
Dummy
Whatever.
cameras.
Yes, yes, yes. It does. It does.
Let's see. So, okay. I don't know how close you paid attention to the footage, but this
It was
new
hard to
footage.
see with our cameraman. It was so hard to
Oh
see.
God.
Some of
Tell me
those
about it.
documents, I was like, I can't even
Yeah.
see anything. Though, like,
Yeah, it was
what it,
ridiculous.
the fourth day was like, come on.
Yeah. What are you showing me? But anyway, that new footage, the new footage of
The
Tyler,
compilation.
when it shows him walking, he goes,
Which
goes,
walking.
yeah, going up top. He walks down the few stairs, and then he starts going up anyway. So the whole thing is, and I am not convinced of this at all, that he had this rifle down the leg of his pants.
Oh, you're talking about up the stairs?
Yes, when he was actually, and so it does show him limping. Okay.
Mhm.
And let me think. I believe it's his right leg that he was keeping straight. Yes, it was. It was the right one. So it's like his right leg was the bad leg, and he was bending his left. Well, at the very beginning, just for a couple steps, if you'll watch, his right leg bends and his left leg is still.
I was going to say, I thought it was the left leg.
Until he started going up the stairs, and then all of a sudden it was the opposite leg. And I'm sorry, but and I know you're you say you're not just a big gun nut and all that, but
I would be like, that would be
I
like
don't see how
totally
that rifle got
uncomfortable.
there. I
Okay,
mean,
so let me just, in all
Yeah.
fairness, let's just ask some questions.
yeah.
Was there a gap in the video that maybe like it wasn't going good, because you have a strong leg, weak leg, like maybe it wasn't going good in the left leg and he had to pop into the thing and
Maybe.
take a pee and change the
Mhm.
leg? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or could the camera have been inverted?
I'm
I don't
trying to
know.
remember if it was
I'm
in the
just throwing that
same.
out there.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I thought it was
I'd have to go back
the
and look at it.
left leg.
And you could be right, but whichever it was,
But
it
how
was.
heavy is that dang thing? Like, I would be
Oh,
like,
I mean, it's like the whole thing assembled is like 9 pounds or something. I mean, 8
well,
pounds.
how do you get that out of your pants?
Exactly, exactly.
Because like when I wear my tight leg jeans, it's like it's hard
Yes.
to.
Well, he wasn't wearing baggy pants, is the first thing. And they say he took it apart. So if it was taken apart in 2 pieces, when you do the math, I've done the rough math, each piece would be over 3 feet long. So
So is that
unless you,
the two pieces in
that would be
the
breaking it down from the stock, it would be one piece, and then the barrel action and scope would be the other piece. They're both going to be about 3 foot, give or take. So, I mean, unless you put both of those pieces down one down one
yeah,
side,
that's what I was thinking. You have to put it on one side.
or have one on each side, and so to me, it's just a ridiculous story anyway. But
Did we have anybody practice that?
I have seen one person do it, and they said, "See, it's perfectly plausible."
Doable?
But the dude was wearing baggy pants. Like, I mean, they weren't. It was nothing like
Well,
what Tyler was wearing.
maybe tighter pants, like a girdle, holds it better.
Yeah, but except for you would see it, I mean, like something
like a
that big
bulge?
and bulky down there, you would see it. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. Either way, regardless, I thought it was interesting that the leg swapped just for a few steps. There was that, and then Let's see.
Could there have been any because we heard about, and I don't know what somebody was saying something about the Dairy Queen, but I was thinking about Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Could there have been something where a piece or pieces of it was planted around,
Stashed around.
yeah, earlier?
I mean, if I was planning it ahead of time and, that's the way I would have done it, I guess. But I mean, I don't know. But where this shot where I'm talking about him swapping steps was literally at the Losi Center where he was going up the stairs to the roof. So
Okay.
it would have been in the last moments of his travels. He would have had to have had everything that he was going to have. That it was that camera that caught him as he was going up the stairs to the roof. That's where they got the still
Right.
shots.
Yeah, where
So
he went up from the FBI
yeah,
poster, right? Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting. And
Oh, yeah, and do you like drop that down your waistband and hope it catches in your shoe, or do you try to shove
yeah,
that up the bottom?
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't seem very likely to me, but I guess we'll see. Maybe, hopefully. What did you think about let's see. Okay, yeah, he bent both legs. And let me look at my list here. Okay. Um, which one do I want to talk about next?
They're talking about, I see they're talking about the bullet, the extra
Yeah.
bullet.
So, all right. So 223 on the other building. So that one to me is really interesting. Again, I know you say you're not just super up on the gun, so this is what I will say. They're saying it was from an officer. I just, right off the bat, never been an officer, never been through training, blah, 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 any of that. I don't know. If I was a police officer and I knew that I was getting it cruiser ready, I would know that it's going to eject around. Even if I didn't know it was going to eject around, I would know that it had ejected around because I'm physically pulling the thing back.
The bolt. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
Or whatever it is on the.
what type of law enforcement professional leaves it laying there?
Is the 223 an automatic or is that a bolt action?
So it could be either. They are shot in both. Now,
Okay.
this is one thing though. 9 out of 10 of your police department ARs are
They should be
generally going to be,
automatic.
or they're generally going to be chambered in 5.56, not 2.23.
Okay.
But now, and some of them are chambered for both. But I do know a lot of them are going to be, and they use 5.56. A lot of them do because they get them bulk, like military type stuff, And most of the time, at least in my experience and from people I've talked to and what I've seen, most of the time it's going to be 5.56, not 2.23. Plus, if it's if the gun's chambered in 5.56, it can shoot 2.23 and not vice versa. It's anyway. That's not, to me, the main thing was what kind of cop would have left that laying there. For one, just because. For two, I mean, like, oh my God, he's going to leave a bullet with his fingerprint laying on it right in the middle of a freaking homicide sweep.
Okay, well, because I want to talk about a couple things. We don't know that it was left that day. Okay, now, I heard,
if the story is that one of the officers that was
no,
out.
No. Hang on a second. We don't know. I didn't hear that it was that day.
Yeah.
Now, I also heard, and again, I don't know my long guns, whatever, that it was a Mauser with a retrofitted barrel, which I don't know if it can shoot a different
Tyler's gun, yes.
Right. So I don't know if it can, if originally it shot a different caliber or whatever. That's my first thought. Like, as a defense attorney, I'd be like, because I remember hearing that it was, what did I say? A retrofit, whatever that does. So that would be my question. Like, I would want to know all about the provenance of that gun and how that gun and what the barrel does and all the stuff. Now, so could it be possible that this round could have come from that gun? Now, here's the other question. I'm trying to sort all my pieces up here. Now, could the any shot have come from that building? And
instead of,
could it been a 223 round instead of a 30-06. That's
This is
another
why I
question.
was asking you about
Okay.
this.
Well, we're not done yet, right?
Right.
So this is for the defense.
Yep.
Okay. So that would be the questions. Like, I would want to have that all zipped up, because from the defense side, you're looking at anything that casts reasonable doubt. Okay. So
Yeah.
I would be having my little reenactment team up there with, like, does a Mauser make a 223? Is
Right.
there a Mauser 223 that exists? I would be going up there and I would be right, doing the thing. And looking at the retrofit and the provenance of this barrel and the whole thing. Now, going to the cop, okay. I have seen officers like,
Oh, I know there's dumb cops out there.
God
Did you
bless
see
them.
the video clip of the one cop? Literally, this has been a while back, but like Acorn fell and hit the top of his car, and he pulled his gun out and he started shooting. It was I don't remember if it was. You did? Okay, good.
I mean, I have seen officers come on
Wow.
duty without their weapon.
Yeah.
Okay. I personally had to search one night for officer was chasing somebody and lost his gun because he didn't have his holster snapped, because I don't know if you shouldn't be carrying the whole. God bless him, love him dearly, but if you can't get that shit out, you shouldn't be wearing that holster.
No.
Okay. Because your life depends on it. So you don't carry it
Wow.
around unsnapped, okay? So that it falls out. People have blown holes through car roofs and whatever. So, like, I can tell you, gun in the, they carry them in the car, the gum is in the thing, the wrappers are in the barrel.
God.
Like, okay. So, I could tell you stories. I could tell you stories. So, could it happen? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Officers at the range turn around and pointing guns at me. And I mean, like, okay.
God.
So going back to, does it bother me? Absolutely.
Yeah. Should it happen? Hell no.
well, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. But we don't know that it happened that day.
Right.
And on the defense, on the prosecution side, you bet your boopy, I would be making sure that was all worked out and that it wasn't plausible. And then you just hand it to the defense and say, it couldn't have happened, and here's why. Okay.
And you're 100% right. We don't know that it happened that day, but it is the state's.
It's a questionable whatever.
Yeah, it is the state is alleging that it did, or the state is saying that it did, but now that
it did what? It looked into it?
That it was put there that day. Because what was his name with the accent?
Hull? The Brit?
Yes, he was the one that was talking about that. Catherine Nestor had asked him about it.
Well, he said it was accounted for.
It was accounted for that way, that one of the officers had cleared their way.
But that's what I say on my channel. Semantics are very important. Okay. Like you said, it was accounted for.
Yeah. What does accounted for mean?
That could be like CYA. Like we accounted for it. Some crap went down, but so no, I want to see what,
that's something else. So when I heard that, I thought, so then you get put in a position where you either have to admit that there's another option, as far as who and how this happened, or you have to say, our cops are dumbasses. One of the two. Take your pick.
Well, stuff happens, and like I say, people think that. I was talking about the Carmelo Anthony trial in a video, and talking about how the apparently in the motion for the new trial, they're talking about how they only had 10 minutes to decide whether he was going to testify or not testify. And when you have to make split-second decisions, a lot of things come into it, kind of like what you're talking about Tyler allegedly being on the roof and running up and doing all the stuff and taking it out of his pants, putting it together, and making it all come out. It's easy for us to be a Monday morning quarterback, right?
Morning quarterback,
But I was just looking at this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
didn't know if you'd noticed that point or not. I should have been pulling up some of these here and there. Generally, I'll be kind of reading them as I go, but I'm kind of been getting into the conversation and ignoring the
Yeah, no,
chat.
this is great. But there dumb stuff happens, and they're going to try to save the person as much as possible. And again, as much as we want to know, the preliminary hearing is not the time to bring the dude in,
Oh, right. Yeah.
um, or whatever,
Yeah.
happened, unacceptable.
I could be wrong, but I feel like the defense knows that at least in certain circles. I mean, I don't know if they've been on X or not or how often, but if they get on there, they're going to realize that there's a whole lot of people that don't believe the official narrative. But that being said, they realize that there's a huge chunk that does believe it because, I mean, they watch mainstream news and that's all they've heard, that's all they know. I feel like that they believe that there's been a lot of prejudicial, stuff that has been put out there, and they're at a disadvantage. And I think that they were trying to at least, cast a little bit of doubt on the official narrative ahead of time. You know what I mean? Just getting like, just throwing that out there. Get the people thinking. About some of these things that seem to be pretty inconsistent. Because, like you said, there's generally not all that back and forth at a preliminary hearing.
Well, yeah, and that's a good point. I want to talk about some. I want to talk about the gun in the holster.
Yep.
So if you could remind me of that. But
Yep.
going to what you said, in my experience, right? I'm not a lawyer, but in my experience, anytime you have a hearing, anytime a defendant, right? Because we look at it from all sides, anytime the defense can hand the state something, whether that it's their rear end or whatever it is, whatever. Anytime they can do that, and show them the holes in their case, or potentially show the holes in the case,
Yeah.
it can help towards mitigating a plea, or letting them know that this is
We've got
not
your number.
and let me elaborate on that a little bit. That
Uh-huh.
this is not as good as you think it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if you think about the way that this comes down, the prosecution, the poor prosecutor has to take it 9 times out of 10, some cop just on the road, like Carmelo Anthony, for example.
Uh-huh.
I was very surprised that the officer arrested him immediately. I'm not commenting on the guilt or innocence, whatever. I was very surprised that he immediately made an arrest, given what the officer knew at the time.
Right.
But going back to the prosecution here, prosecutors get a cop that just says, I came, I saw, I went, I arrested, and that's it. And they only have a few lines of whatever. And
Yeah.
so then the prosecution, like, that's all they have to work with. Okay. So did it benefit the prosecution in the case that the DNA and all that stuff came back? That's why they had that rush, right? Because
Right.
a preliminary hearing is they got to make, what out of Shinola, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not a good case, but typically all they have is the cop came, saw, and arrested. And the time is cooking and they've got to do it. Whereas the defense typically gets if they do, because it could take years sometimes to get everything, they can kind of sit back and put everything together as the prosecution has built their case. So they kind of have a little more ammunition, so to speak. So the prosecution is kind of at a disadvantage. So going back to what I'm saying, when, in my opinion, when they have these hearings, they kind of dump on them. Well, you didn't look into this, and you didn't look into this, and what about
Right.
this? Because the charge has to be charged.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and the prosecutor only has so many things to work with. And
Yeah.
then the defense is like, we're going to hit you with this.
Yeah.
And so that's where I feel that they were going really aggressive, like giving them okay, babe, we're like,
Yep.
we're going, like, get
Yeah.
ready.
Because I
buckle
mean,
up.
look,
Mhm.
especially with oh God, what's his name again? I never can remember that
Oh,
guy's. Yeah. So
British?
I mean,
Was he British?
basically,
Like, where did he come from? The
I
Brit
don't
guy?
know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
But basically, to me, that was a low blow. She didn't just okay, you forgot about this or you forgot about that or what have you, but this was literally attacking his credibility because when she asked him, and that's on my list, that's one of the next things. She asked about the bald-headed guy, and he was like, "You didn't mention that before when we were talking about this, did you?" Nope.
In the
Well,
car?
what about the three other people? You also didn't mention this, did you? That the homeowner said that they saw three other people in the car. No, I did not. Yes, I do believe she thought she saw three other people. And so that just, I mean, that goes to their credibility right then and there, you know. There's no way
Well,
that he forgot those details, you know, and for him to leave that out and her to point that out to me was, you know,
well,
it,
yeah. So that's a thing, and I don't remember. Was that in his report? That was in his report, or was that in the probable cause?
I don't. So she said, I don't know that it was in that final report. I don't know where that came from, but she had just said that happened, and you
Yeah,
did
yeah,
not
yeah,
mention that earlier when
yeah,
we were talking about it or when you were being questioned about it. So I'm not
yeah.
really sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
no. So the reason I'm asking is because again, I saw, I arrested.
right. I came. I
Probable
saw
cause,
arrested.
right? Probable
Yeah,
cause does not mean that you have to provide every bit of exculpatory information,
right, right.
right? See, that comes in later, like search warrants.
Well,
That's
that's
where you
why I
get
said
into
it was
your
a low blow, kind of. You know, she kind of just made him
yeah,
look
I was
bad.
like I was like, 3 people in the car,
Yeah,
like, yeah, yeah. No, so she's getting her licks in, right?
yeah,
To and going back to talking about, are they doing it for the public? I'm not so sure. Well, if their complaints about the media tainting it, are they really doing it for the media, or are they laying it on thick for the prosecution saying, okay, buddy, you better be ready
yeah,
because
yeah. Yep,
bam, 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 bam.
yep,
Because, and I also, in on my channel, I was talking about the fact that they didn't pull out their, what do you call it, first string. Okay,
right,
they didn't have their first string. Now, some of these FBI people and all that, but remember, we didn't really see the witnesses. We didn't hear the homeowner. We didn't, because every time you
right.
bring somebody on, it's a chance for impeachment.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, all they got to do is say one wrong thing, and their credibility shot, and then there you are.
Exactly. So that's why I felt that they were using those 1102s, and they had like this the second string. They had the
Yeah,
JV because they have to protect their witnesses because they're only going to get one shot at it. Now,
yeah,
I know that the the state of the defense, they had, when an expert testifies, usually they get to talk to them beforehand about what they're going to testify and all that stuff.
yeah,
I was thinking, oh my God, I hope they haven't done their interviews yet because they don't really have enough information. But
right,
yeah, so the next thing is going to be, they're going to try to, I would assume, I mean, let's say he gets bound over, which we think is going to happen. And then they're going to start filing pleadings. They're going to try to start getting rid of evidence. They're going to ask for hearings. They're probably going to have Fry or Daubert challenges for this DNA, and they're going to start the impeachment cycle with asking these questions. Well, here you said this, and here you said that, and here you said that, to get them to try to knock them out, right?
right,
And
right.
so this, either side wants to limit that from happening, right?
Yep,
Because then
yep.
it's on the record. Yeah, but then they came out hitting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's what you call fire and warning shots. You know,
Yeah,
at,
that
le-
was I was like,
at least.
and it was interesting, right? I mean, I like I said, I love the whole process. And so I was like, man, this is great. Like, go, 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 and not one side or the other, but man, they were very respectful. I was very
Yeah,
surprised. They were very respectful to each other. They knew their case law. Man,
yeah,
they knew
yeah.
they were, and even the media guy, boom, 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 So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sweet. Hey, thanks, Miss Susan. She's always real good about that. I was gonna put it in there myself, but
Oh, thank you.
she posted your channel link. So Miss
Thank
Susan's
you.
the hall monitor. She's
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Awesome.
she's another one of my day ones. I got a few day ones in the chat. But
Awesome, awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
so any other questions, or what are you
Yeah, that's
thinking?
what I was gonna say. Let me roll through here real
Okay,
quick. Oh yeah,
if
oh
anybody
yeah.
has any
Before we quit, we'll hit these kind of quick like. But let's see. Did you see about on you spend a lot of
Oh,
time on
I had a
X?
question.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
So, did I hear right? Because I got these like curveballs coming in, like that somebody else was it the unknown dude with the badge that who found then there was another gun, then there was a concealed, then there was another holster with a gun? Like, was that the concealed holster that was supposed to be the holster that was really a holster and a gun? Or was that like another holster and a
I
gun?
want to say the final
So confused.
consensus. I know. I think the final consensus was that they found a pistol at some point and they did find a holster, but that they didn't necessarily go together. I could be wrong. I
Oh,
may
because
have
see, I thought
misunderstood
it
that.
was another holster gun.
Well, and that's what I thought too. And I remember Catherine Nestor, unless I'm dreaming all this up, but I think I remember her asking specifically if it was a holstered gun, and you said no, it was just a holster, but that they had also found a pistol at some point during the
Well, I
day.
thought somebody else said, so are you talking about Bagley?
Yes, yes,
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, he said it was a holster.
right.
And, and that's what made him think that it was a rifle. But
For
but then,
whatever reason.
then somebody later,
Oh
God bless him. And
shit,
then,
I know.
and then somebody later, you never know what's going to trigger your mind, right?
Yeah,
Somebody later, I thought said they found one in a holster because it made me think, did he miss that there was a gun in that holster? Like,
it
I
could
mean,
be.
first you should have picked up. Did they pick up that holster? Like, first of all, you should have picked up that holster, or you
Exactly,
should have
exactly.
tagged it, or Chief stay here or something.
Oh no,
But
it's good.
to find out there was potentially a gun in it, I was very confused.
Yes, and so I am somewhat confused on that too. I think for some reason I remembered it being that there was a gun and a holster, but maybe they were separate, but I could be wrong on that because, yeah. But the thing about him, again, he to me was a very bad witness, and I don't think they should have put him up there. But he did say, how did you know it came how did you know it was a rifle? And he was like, oh, from all my years of firing guns and police experience and blah 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 blah, I knew the sound of a rifle shot. But yet, like you said, when he sees the pistol holster on the ground, it triggers something in his head, and then he realizes it was a long distance shot, and had to have been a rifle. So I mean, he kind of contradicted himself there. But I
We'll
don't
see what
know.
happens at
Yeah, we'll
trial.
see what happens.
Well, we'll see what happens in his interview, his defense interview.
Right. Yeah, I can't
Um,
wait to see
and
that.
they're gonna pull, he worked at some agencies, and
Yep.
they should pull his background and
Yeah.
all his training and all that stuff. And
I'll
I
be
mean, I don't
shocked if
know.
they don't. I'll be shocked if they don't. But yeah, I don't know how much time you spend on X. You spend a lot of time on X. I know you do have
I
an
mean, I
X.
have
So
an X account, but
yeah.
you're probably gonna ask me something that I haven't seen.
So I don't know if you've heard yet or not, but apparently, and because we did see some pictures of Tyler's car, apparently he drives two different silver Challengers.
Okay.
So,
Does this have to do with the Dairy Queen?
um,
Because I don't know. Somebody keeps asking about the Dairy Queen.
it may have been, I don't remember. It may have, one of those pictures may have been a picture of his car at the Dairy Queen. I just know that they were both they were both pictures that had been submitted and used in the hearings. But there's a side by side comparison on X. And they got one of them here, and then they got the other one here. They're both silver Challengers sitting side by side, but they've got different front bumpers. Like they're noticeably different. One of them's got an aftermarket, like, um, I forget what they call those, but it's
Spoiler.
like a valence, or yeah, on the front. Yeah,
Mhm.
down there at the bottom, it's got a really wide lip at the very
Apron.
bottom.
All those things, yeah.
But there's that on the one car, and the other one you can tell is 100% stock. Now they both got the same, appear to have the same wheels and everything, same color, same all that, but the bumper is definitely different.
So
So I thought that was interesting.
did they run the VINs, or like, do they have the purchase history? Because
This is just people comparing pictures that they have put out there and just putting them side by side and saying the front
okay,
ends on these cars are different, and they're saying they're
okay.
the same car.
So let me ask you a question,
Hmm.
right? Because again,
Yeah.
we've got the investigative mind.
Yep.
We need to clear the discrepancies. So what year was his car supposedly?
Oh.
Older, not newer?
No, I mean it would have been a 20. It would have been. I wish I could remember what year, but it was like it was 2020 or newer. I believe it was.
Okay.
I believe
Well,
if I
but like
remember correct,
5 years old, 4 years old.
something like that.
Okay.
Even 5, 6
So
years old.
so could it be, right, like if I'm the cop,
Yep.
could it be that he damaged the whatever that front apron, whatever we want to call it, and
Yep.
he got a new one in a different style, or he ordered it, right? Because I know I can do different ones for my truck.
Yeah.
And then he, over the 4 years, or I'm just whatever,
Yep.
hypothesizing, he, because if the wheels are the same or whatever, different,
Yep.
he got different rims, and then he got a different whatever.
So that's exactly what I was thinking, but that's why I read a little bit deeper to see exactly when these pictures were from.
Okay.
And again, according to they were both pictures, which had different front ends, were both supposedly submitted and used in this particular trial, as evidence in this particular. So it should have they should have
In a
all both
hearing?
been recent pictures.
In a hearing
In yes, in the hearing.
that we didn't get to see?
That I don't know. I don't remember whether they showed those publicly or not. I mean,
Well, how'd the guy get him, or whoever
that's
got
what
him?
I was gonna say. Let me do this. Your ex is on your YouTube channel. Let me find that. I'll shoot that to you, okay? Or I can
Okay.
email you
Yeah,
the link,
because
let you look at it because it was
um
interesting.
yeah, because you can, like, any good private investigator can go down to the DMV, can get that. You have access to the flock thingies, and all that
Yeah.
LPR and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I don't
Yeah.
know. That should be I don't want to say easy, but
Right.
at least, for us, like I'm talking about, getting the experts and doing these things to satisfy everybody's mind
Right.
before we go into this big process, at least
Yeah,
get some of the
because
questions answered.
if there is a discrepancy with that front bumper and they're both supposed to be recent pictures of the same car, then that makes, I mean, then that's a problem. And
Well,
so,
well, okay. So, we can go off on another tangent here about the bioinformatics in the car. So
mhm,
hopefully they pulled that, right?
yeah,
You guys would be surprised, in addition to the main components in the car, all the things that communicate throughout the network, right? That you'd be
yeah,
surprised at the stuff in your house too. You guys
yeah.
will be having this stuff in your house.
Oh, trust me, this group wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. But so again, that would be
Yeah,
something that would
all
be
that
looked
stuff to
at
be tracked down.
in addition to this cell phone and all that stuff, right? Triangulated, and so yeah, but those are all good questions. These
Yep.
are people that are looking for stuff. And again, if we think about it from the jury perspective, what makes reasonable doubt? You
I
just
mean,
need one thing, right?
just one thing, yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
like a different car, or an extra bullet, or an extra holster, or
What did you think about that? That was one thing I was going to ask you about earlier, and I got off.
okay.
What did you think about the what do you call it? The modifier, that that brings the death penalty, or makes the death penalty available, of him doing it for religious
So the
reasons
political
or what
thing.
have you. Yeah, and for them to literally use testimony from somebody at Turning Point to just explain what he believes and what Charlie believed and how they felt. They tried to use that when it doesn't matter what Charlie believed. The only thing that mattered is what's going on in Tyler's mind at the time.
Yeah, I thought that
To
was
me, that was absolutely ridiculous.
well, I thought that was an interesting distinction because, again, I'm not that familiar with the Utah statutes, right? But a lot of the things that we run into in these cases is being able to meet the elements of the crime, right?
Hey,
And
keep talking. I just lost my camera, but I'm listening to you. Sorry.
that's okay. So you have to meet all the elements of the crime. And so when I heard that, I'm like, how are they going to be able to meet this? and then hearing, because I don't believe in the element of the crime, it talked about that whether it was the state's burden or the defense's burden, and then to find out when I think it was the defense attorney that brought up that, you know, it's supposed to be what was in Tyler's head,
Right.
not this 1102 full of all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, reading just the element, that they've met that burden.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was really, I don't know, it's a reach to me.
Well, and this is where, and I talk, you know, too much probably about semantics, but you know, people talk about the letter of the law, the intent of the law, and reading and really interpreting these court precedents for your folks that are really involved in this, to
Yep.
understand the elements of the crime and all this stuff that they have to prove. It is very easy to take a word with, you know, something you don't even know you have a bias, or there's like a colloquialism that you think the word means this when in fact the word means the other things, right? So I had read those preliminary charges, and I, you know, to prepare for it, and I was like, oh, okay, they're going to have to show this, this, and this. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute, it's in his mind, and he you know, they have to demonstrate that he showed it. And I don't feel, I've seen some scuttlebutt about, based on what was in the text messages, that they feel they might have proved it. But I was like, I think that's a reach. But it was very interesting, right? Like I said, I think no matter which
Again,
side you're on, the defense did a great job.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they were hammering.
If you think you can make that point, if you think that you can sell that based off of the text messages, Discord messages, or whatever, okay. To me, that is okay. But to get a testimony or, you know, a statement from somebody that works at Turning Point to talk about what Charlie believed, I mean, doesn't at all speak to what's in Tyler's mind. You know what I mean? Like if you can kind of get his frame of mind from stuff that he supposedly wrote, okay, that's one thing. But I thought that was crazy to take a statement from somebody at Turning Point to.
Let me ask you a question about that, because on that 1102, so the state would know, hopefully, that it's the defense's, not the defense's burden, but the burden would have, the elemental pieces would have come from something that the defendant had to publish, right? Or, you know, there would have to be some demonstration from the defendant. So if the state knew that, was the, I'm trying to remember, was the 1102, wasn't that to enter, was that to enter some part of evidence, or was that just the 1102 standing on its own?
So I don't remember for sure. I just know that it was related to that modifier. You know, they used it to justify the death penalty.
Yeah, because sometimes people take liberty when you ask them to write a witness statement. They just take a liberty because you can't coerce them, right? You can't tell them what to put, that they want to get their point across, and they put stuff in there that you don't, what does it say?
Yeah, that's
That,
it.
Officer Baker. Yeah. So that's why I was wondering if it was attached to a piece of evidence, and he just want to put it in. Also, something interesting that they said, that if he is this religious person and he's espousing on all these things, that he would have had to come in under the expert category, and that would have meant that he would have had to provide a report, and he would have had to been examined, voir dire before both people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like when the defense was saying, well, look, the state and I, we met with the ATF person and we met with the FBI person because they came in as experts. So if whoever the guy, preacher, I don't know what he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think he was a pastor. He
a
works
religious leader or something,
yeah,
right?
he works with Turning Point.
Right, but I remember one of them said he's an expert. And if he's an expert, then this can't come in this way. It has to come in under the experts thing. So during the trial, they may force him to to do it that way.
Again, though, he wouldn't be able to just speak to what Charlie believed. He would have to
Because it's
he would
hearsay.
have to assess Tyler's words in some
Well,
way or
right.
something, correct?
In that sense,
Yeah,
well, according to what they were saying, right?
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think the state argued that, right?
The
Did the
defense
state
argued that, right? Yeah, because they were trying to say
oh that it was missing, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting. I wondered if you had given that much thought or caught that.
Yeah.
Another one that was a really big one. Let's see. We talked about the bald guy plus three. Do you know who? You know who Blake Neff is?
Who?
Blake Neff. Okay, he works for Turning Point. He's on the Charlie Kirk show. He's
Oh,
bald as shit. That's who most people assumed the bald guy driving the car was.
oh, I have no idea. Yeah.
What about that? They said that when he first got there the first time, that he went and literally talked to Turning Point representatives.
That was a shock to me.
And then the funny part is then later on we hear that the lady saw a bald man driving the car, which one of the people that was there on site with Charlie for this event was a very bald guy, that literally is on the show with him every day. It was just an interesting, maybe not, it don't mean anything, but it was kind of interesting. But
Yeah,
uh,
I kind of question that, right, coming from the law enforcement perspective that, like, and this is going to be a weird analogy, but like in a suicide, sometimes there's hesitation marks, right?
yeah,
When I heard that, my mind went immediately to, was he going and testing himself to see, if he did it, right?
right.
Allegedly, whatever. Was he going to test it out to judge the distance, or was he going to see, could he really do it? Like, getting there because he didn't live in the area, whatever.
I mean, his purpose for being there earlier, that
Yeah, yeah, or like sometimes you're going to give a big speech, right? And a couple days before you might go into the room just to get the feel of it, right? So
yep,
so
yep,
what was he going to see if he was, if he still felt the same,
hmm,
maybe he amped himself up, like some type of a precursor to, is this going to go down? Can I do this?
yep,
Either amping up or getting secure, and then continuing, which could go to premeditation or something, like, who knows? I don't
yeah.
know.
And
But
we'll
yeah,
never know. But God, I would give anything to find out what that conversation was between him and the unnamed Turning Point.
well, and
And maybe it
um
would. Maybe you never know. They may have found out and may have interviewed this person, and it may come out. But I just don't think we'll ever find out.
well, imagine being those people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, you can look at it two different ways.
I mean,
Oh
we
my
could look at
God, I
all the
happened to talk to this guy, and then this terrible thing happened. Or the worst case scenario, this person knew it was coming and he was I mean, because
yeah,
both thoughts have crossed my mind, and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
going to say, are we on, everything's good, nothing's changed, okay, and then leaves. And you know
We don't know.
so
Well,
you can look at it both ways.
but any question, to me, any question that's left hanging
Oh yeah,
is potential, reasonable doubt,
yep,
right? So that's why they also have to be careful about what they're going to present, or what's going to accidentally come out, right? Like,
right,
so you're saying they were talking about one thing, and then
yep,
all of a sudden it's like, well, what about these three other people that were like, it's like, oh,
exactly, exactly, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
So,
So
so there's a few people that were there that are, employees or, contracted, however, whatever. There's a few that were, obviously there were several that were there, but a lot of them were just helpers. But then you had some that were important people. And it's funny that it would have been the driver plus three. And, the ones that were standing under the tent at the time this all happened and would have, if you were trying to think of it the most conspiratorial, like the worst way possible, you would have, okay, Blake Neff was, he on the Charlie Kirk show with him every day, knew him really well about his, schedules and everything else. But then the other one would have been Mikey McCoy, chief of staff, Dan Flood, his head of security. And then you had Brian Harpole that's come under fire and had a lot of questions asked about him. He was he owned the security company that was contracted by Charlie or by Turning Point. So I don't know.
Well,
It's just like,
somebody's
those
gotta
three
get the
people, it make
questions
perfect
answered.
sense.
Yeah, they got to get the questions answered. You just
Yeah.
can't leave, and even I think, I try to put myself in that position. If there was speculation about me and I knew for certain that I wasn't involved, like I would be like,
Yeah, exactly. Hey, that was me he talked to.
well, or whatever,
Yeah.
I was over here. Like if you're
Yeah.
thinking that this is not that anybody should have to defend themselves if they're not involved, but it's like,
No,
look,
but
I was over here and here's why. I mean, we know how, look here, we're sitting here talking about all this stuff on the internet, right? And the
yeah.
internet goes wild, but yeah, so who knows, and
Well, yeah, you're right. It's just it bothers me how quiet Turning Point is, period.
well, maybe they've been told not to say, right? And let me just
They're under gag order technically, but I mean,
yeah, there you go.
let me say this. When I say they've been quiet, they have not been quiet at all. When it comes to answering questions that the public has, they will not touch anything. But every day they scream from the rooftop. It was definitely Tyler Robinson. And so, it's like, yeah, but what about these weird situations that might add a little bit of reasonable doubt to, the whole thing. And it's crickets. You can't get anything out of them. So it's just, I don't know. I understand why a lot of people are getting leery of them, but it is what
Well,
it
the
is.
whole thing, yeah. I mean, there's like I said, I hear all kinds of different sides of it, and it's very hard because we all want answers. Sometimes things are more important to you than they are to other people.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just, they while they have the opportunity to answer, they don't feel that they have to answer, right? Like,
True.
I'm just gonna like, we all get different comments and different things on the channel and whatever, and you're like, okay, whatever. Am I gonna respond to this? Am I,
Right.
whatever. And I got bigger fish to fry or whatever. And like, who knows? But the best thing you could do is, try to get your answers, and then hopefully with the trial and more information will come out. But I don't think you're ever going to get
You're not
everything.
going. No, it's almost impossible.
How long would it take for the defense to answer every question, right?
yeah.
The defense's goal, right? Like when you're in the red zone, right? You just want to score, right? So the defense's posture is going to be,
All they have to do
I
is
just
counter
need
what they're
one
using to
thing.
prosecute. Yes, and there you
Yeah,
go.
I need one
thing.
or two good things. I need to impeach the witnesses and hammer that home,
Yeah.
make a good jury selection, and that's it,
You would
right?
have to be more than desperate to start, visiting and bringing up alternate theories of what would have happened. You know what I mean? Like generally, the defense would never have to go there because, like you said, they know what their what points they're using to prosecute on, and they're going to attack those points. And like you said, one or two reasonable doubt. That's all it generally takes. So,
What do
it's
you
not the defense's job to come up with other suspects and stuff like that.
well
I mean, I could
well
I could see a point where it could be necessary.
third party culpability, yeah. What do you think about the use immunity?
I don't know.
I mean, in simple terms, I was surprised. I didn't, right. Again, like I haven't followed it. I, jumped in when all this was going because I like the arguing, right? I like the court process. And I was like, wow, okay.
Are you talking about with
Twigs.
Twigs? Yeah, the limited immunity. So I'm not a lawyer, and I've talked to my lawyer buddy Greg. We need to do this again and do a show with him. He's super cool. I do a show with him every Friday night. Matter of fact.
Okay. What kind of law does he practice? Criminal?
So right now he does what does he
Civil?
call it? It's more like religious. How does he put that? But yes, especially early on in his career, he said he did some criminal stuff, and he spent more time in federal court. Though I don't know if he was in the chat earlier, but I don't know if he still is. But anyway, still really knowledgeable, knows way more about
Yeah.
the process than I do. But yeah, we were talking about that, and it's still kind of, I don't know exactly what they gave him immunity for, but the way I understand it is literally he can be prosecuted for anything in the future. That immunity literally was just based on the facts that he gives in his statement at the time, correct? I mean, is that the way you understand it?
Well, they explained so you could have like limited immunity, and then they gave him use immunity.
See, I've
Um,
heard it said both ways. I've heard it said use immunity, and I've heard it said limited immunity. So I'm not really.
well,
That's
use
another reason
immunity,
I'm.
use immunity probably could be a subset of some, who knows,
Yeah.
legalese. But I believe it's about the things that he talks about, and I'd have to look that up. Your friend would probably be good on that, but so I think it behooves the person to get it all on the table, because if they find out something later,
Yeah.
you're susceptible to that, right? So it
He-
encourages cooperation.
yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just I just I just was like, again, talking about, which is different, Carmelo Anthony, just the arrest that the officer, to what I understand when I read the police report, made the arrest right away, even when the defendant was claiming self-defense, and it could have been served with an indictment or information or something later after the state worked on it, right? So that was kind of crazy to me. So hearing that night, it's one day later, and they're already there with the U.S. attorney and
Yeah.
the
Yep.
Utah County attorney, and they like, uh, so to me, I haven't articulated that, but it's like, so they already saw all the messages, and they already saw the, like,
Uh-huh. Yep.
it was just,
But why
I don't
not?
know what to do with it, but it was too quick.
Why would you discard the first statement that was given immediately afterwards for a statement that was given 7 months later, and not only 7 months later, but after his barely middle class family up and moved to Texas and has opened a couple different businesses and bought and sold several different properties and started a nonprofit in the, not saying there's definitely anything to that, but they didn't have any kind of history like that up until this point. Makes it look really funny.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I just
And that
thought that,
stuff's on the public record. I mean, like, that Baron Coleman, he's the one that dug into that a lot. And
well,
being an attorney, he has access to all that, as far as properties and assets
well,
and
you can
yeah.
get access to that under FOIA.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that, because my understanding was, he's at the St. George PD at the same time that Tyler's at the other one.
Yeah, yeah, literally the
And
day after.
and why would you, I don't know, to me, and again, I'm just theorizing, potentially, allegedly, not that it happened, a potential co-defendant, like, it doesn't happen that quick.
Right.
Be
A lot of
and
people a lot of
and
people
wait,
suspect that he was a little more involved in it than
well, because if Tyler is, allegedly coming in to turn himself in, and you have a law enforcement officer or related person that says, "We're coming in,"
Mhm.
and the phone, you would have the phone, like, why would you need that? You usually only go to immunity when your case is crap.
Right.
That would be the question for your
Right.
lawyer.
When you
Spencer.
can't get the
That,
information
like
by other
like
means.
at the same time, the U.S. attorney flew in or whatever, like they were. It's just
Well, and I know that, and I know that like you said, you haven't dug too much into the whole conspiracy part of it, but there are some really interesting pictures that came from UVU that day that I mean are look a whole lot like Lance was there at the same time as he was. There are some pretty convincing photographs. I mean, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Then there's the whole, I mean, like Lance would have had access to all his devices. The Discord messages are in question. And, I mean, if Tyler was framed, I mean, the dude he lives with would have been the perfect person to have been involved in it. And I'm not saying any of that actually happened, but there's a lot of people have a lot of questions on Lance.
I was just
You know,
surprised. I was very surprised to see it come because it's
yeah,
only usually used as leverage later.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And that
I don't
was
know.
right off the get go, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
like at the same
immediately.
time.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
think about all this chaos is going on, all these law enforcement agencies, everybody's running around, stuff's being flying to Quantico. They don't even have results yet. All this stuff is
Yep.
going,
And
and
they're giving him
then
immunity.
and then they're flying right down.
Yep. Yep.
And the U.S. attorney hasn't even seen the evidence. They don't have the DNA results or anything like that. Like,
No, and they had to have known. I mean, they had to have known who Lance was. I mean, basically at the same time they found out who Tyler was. I mean, and maybe they knew who both of them were ahead of time. Who knows?
yeah,
It's a possibility.
that would be interesting to see what comes up in the discovery on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too. I'm
yeah.
really interested to see on that because Lance Lance is and that was okay. So that's I believe that's the last one I wanted to ask you about, and then I'll let
Okay.
you go. Um, what about the fact that okay, this is a double one. They both
Okay.
basically end up in the same place for me. One, I don't remember if it was Brian Davis or who it was, but was asked directly, "Do you have footage of a person, Tyler Robinson or otherwise, actually taking the shot at Charlie Kirk?" And the answer is flat out, straight up, no. And he went on to say, "We have footage of him going up there. We have footage of him coming down, but we do not have footage of him taking a shot." To me, the place has like 3,000 cameras on it. That is impossible. Maybe it's not. And the other point is, and when they were interviewing Lance, they showed him the pictures. It was the video, some stills from that video of
From the
him going,
stairwell. Hmm.
yep. And he could not positively ID him.
Well,
He said not definitively. Yes, it kind of looks like Tyler, or maybe he even said it looks like Tyler, but he specifically, literally said not definitively. It does
so
not exactly look like Tyler, or, I couldn't definitively ID him, but yes, that looks like Tyler.
okay, so I think there's a plausible reason for that. If someone was the person and they framed someone else, I think, and I've seen people say, "Yep, that's them." Right? When your mom is like, "Who had the cookie out of the cookie jar?"
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
okay. So for someone to say, "Nah, not sure." Okay, there's that. Then if somebody might still have feelings for or really care about somebody, they're trying to do their duty and fulfill their agreement with still trying to help the person and not be like a total jerk
This
potentially.
is the person that has already showed them text messages and Discord
But
messages and
they're going to get, I'm just
yeah.
saying
Yeah, I
that
know.
there's
Devil's
there's
advocate.
still some emotion or whatever in
Yeah.
there potentially,
Yeah.
and they know that they're going to get the phone, they're going to get the messages. Like that's a little, inkling of, I'm so sorry. What it could be, I don't know. Now going back to
But then
That
he did say the bottom two did look more like Tyler also. I forgot about that.
maybe he tried to throw him a bone. I don't know.
Yeah.
But going back to the camera, so my question would be, have you guys gone back to like the Wayback Machine and all this stuff and panned around campus and done all this stuff to see that yes, there was a camera that did have a
Oh
vantage
yes. Oh
point
yes.
and
Yes. No, there's lots of video evidence of cameras.
and they just weren't working?
We've not got an answer. We just know they don't have video, is what they said.
Okay. So
That was the
so
first time that question's been answered.
what do you mean?
That's the first time officially on the
Oh, you
record the
mean
question
from
has ever been asked,
Paul?
do you have video of him taking a shot? You
So
know?
if the school is a state school, they should be subject to FOIA, right? But now we're, 20, 30 days writing over it or whatever, whatever. I would look to, just a suggestion, I would look to the preservation letters that were sent out. I would look to like the Wayback Machine and all the stuff that,
Hmm.
looking for the cameras to see if there was one with the vantage point. You could FOIA the school and ask like what's operational, what's not operational. You can go back into the budget and the purchase orders and the maintenance because they have
Yep.
to document all that and try to see if there's some discrepancy. And then if not, because I'll tell you the defense, if it's available, the defense has to have it. Okay.
The
If it's
defense, I mean, asked, do you have video of him taking the shot? I mean, and he sat right there on the
Well, then
stand and said no.
they're gonna have to show, not in the hearing, right? Because they can't get into the
Yeah.
nitty
Yeah.
gritty. But
Yeah.
then they're gonna have to say, well, I mean, a good defense investigator will say, well, show me why, and they're gonna talk about all the records that I'm talking about
Yep.
to get to the bottom of because if it wasn't preserved, that's potentially Brady or something like that.
All right.
So, Hull or the prosecutor has to explain why we don't have that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's people like Ian Carroll is one, but right after this happened, there are several people that went down there to UVU and walked
and
around campus and videoed. I mean, like, and shit showed, like, look, I'm standing on Losey Center. Right there is a camera. Right there is a camera. This one's a 360-degree camera. This one is these are all brand new cameras. This is not like the old, like something that's been hanging up there for 10, 15 years. These are all brand new cameras. There's one right there. There's one right there. I mean, multiple cameras that were looking directly at that roof. And
well,
so and that's been the thing about this from the get-go. All the Tyler's being framed. How do they know it's Tyler? That doesn't look like Tyler. You can't prove anything. Why do we get this one shitty grainy video of a solid black object with no distinguishable features running across a roof, jumping off and going, is that the best they've got? But at the end of the day, I mean, they're saying basically, yeah, that's the best they got, and that just does not make sense to me.
Well, somebody could potentially, I've seen this happen in other cases, if there's a reason for civil litigation,
Yeah,
right? And discovery under civil litigation, the
I
school,
figure that's going to happen.
like if a kid's parent says, because the only having the 6 people there and whatever, you knew or should have known and should have prepared, and you traumatized my kid and I paid you all this money, and you should have known or you should have seen it or you should have spotted it, and we pay, or even the state, the taxpayers, we paid for all these cameras and everything, and it didn't do it. And do some sort of civil thing, they're going to have, if you take it away from the trial, right? Because everything's going to be protected from the trial. But if you take it away from the trial and put it under something with a state responsibility or a civil lawsuit, they're going to have to produce it,
Right.
right?
Yep. And I figure that's probably going to end
Don't
up happening because I don't think everybody's going to be satisfied. But they're just, to me, those are just the video footage is just crazy. Like, you can go back and look at all the maintenance stuff and see all of the brand new cameras, a lot of them being 4K that were like just installed there. Like they had just upgraded all their securities, all their cameras and stuff. So, and all we get again is one grainy ass video from one angle of him, when they've got all of these 360-degree cameras mounted everywhere. And so, everybody thought, unless they are holding this out and unless they have something they're not telling people about, unless they have video of him taking a shot, and then it got asked in the hearing, and he said, no, we do not. So we have,
Well, no, we do not.
and I don't remember exactly how it was worded.
Okay,
but I
but we
think that's
mean
what
the
he said.
FBI don't have it.
Right. Right. This
I don't
was,
know.
I,
Again, you
this was
gotta.
SBI, I believe.
Okay,
Brian
okay.
Davis.
So
But yeah,
maybe
somebody else could have it, I guess.
right, like if you take it for what he says,
Yeah.
because you get coached on exactly what to say. No,
Yeah.
I don't have it.
Right.
Is different than they
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
So, and remember, I don't know if those guys are under the same rules as these other people about what you can say and what you can't say. Was that the
And
craziest?
obviously, most of the rules don't apply in this situation either. So everything in this thing is an anomaly. It's the first time ever. I don't know. It's interesting, that's for sure. It's the best true crime ever.
Yep,
um,
yep, yep.
the other thing too, and you'll probably have to look into this a little bit, and I wish you would, because I'd really like to get your opinion on it after you've looked into it some. The SUV. Um, Basically, they showed up at the hospital. They kept them out of the SUV for a couple hours. Finally, they let them back in. There have been some people, and I can send you some links to some good videos on it, that have literally tracked down the SUV from the time it left to where it went directly after and where it's been since. And the thing literally went straight to an auction within days of Charlie being killed. It was auctioned off. It'd been auctioned off a few times. I forget where it is now, California. But I mean, dude lays it all out, shows by documentation where it's at now. Seems kind of odd again that that would happen. I don't know, maybe not, but it just seems
Well,
odd.
one could posit that. So was it owned by TP USA?
No, it was a rental.
The rental? Well, okay, either way, one might
I mean,
imagine.
this thing was soaked in blood. If you saw the interior
Okay,
pictures, I mean, just
so
weird.
it could have been, damaged, wholesaled out, like when they get water damage or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was not usable, so they just got wholesaled it out, or knowing that it would have been the source of speculation and all this stuff, they opted to not glamorize it and just, I mean, you could say anything. We don't
Yeah.
know until we don't know.
Well, I've had some. I've heard I've heard some cops say, and I've heard some lawyers also say that they have been involved in homicide investigations, and in any time a vehicle was ever involved in a homicide in any way, that generally it went to the police lot and was behind a chain link fence until everything was taken care of, not released within a couple hours and basically sold within the
Well,
next day or two.
is it a transport vehicle, or is it?
Yeah, it was the one that they had driven
No, no,
up
no,
there,
I
and then they.
understand, but I'm saying, did it get a bullet hole, or
No,
was
no,
it a
no.
transport? Okay, so
Just
how
what he was
many?
carried to the
So how
hospital.
many ambulances are in the impound lot? I'm just,
Right.
if it's a transport vehicle only,
Yeah.
how many ambulances get seized? None
And
that I know of.
that may be a huge difference too. I mean, I don't know.
I would classify that as a transport vehicle. We've had things where officers get injured and they run them in the police car, and I've never seen, the police car being brought in the middle of a homicide trial, or in the
Right.
middle of aggravated assault against the officer, because it was just the ambulance. So I
Yeah.
hear what they're saying, but I think, again, it's the perspective and the viewpoint. I think they just viewed it as the transport vehicle, and again, that could be tunnel vision or whatever, and that's the way it went, and it's gone, just like some of the video.
Right.
Right,
Yeah,
like the
just
bullet, like the bullet, and all of it,
just like
it's
everything else.
it's just gone.
It seems like things just go away pretty quick here. Yeah, no, I guess the only thing in my mind, I even thought of that. I guess the only other thing I thought of was, it seems like in most investigation, every single one of those people, his security detail, people that were the closest to him, would be people of interest until they were cleared. And if that was the case, any of their belongings and anything else would be kind of considered important to a degree. But that we know of, none of these people have ever been looked at, questioned, or been, I mean, looked at in any kind of way. So I don't know. I mean,
Well,
look, you know
again,
better than anybody. Generally, investigations start the closest to home. I mean, most people
well,
don't kill somebody they don't know for no reason. I mean, right?
yeah, but when you, I don't know. I think I'm a little different of a bear than most people in that, again, I'm always thinking about what's going to come back and bite me. Like I said, I learned differently, so I do extra.
Yeah,
Plus I'm A plus personality, so I do extra, extra, extra.
yeah.
I got all the ducks and the future ducks and the duck eggs and
In that
everything.
line of work,
But
it can't be a bad thing.
well,
Yep,
knock on wood.
yep,
But
yep,
going back to um potential tunnel vision, who's doing what, who's talking to what, whose status is what, who's going to get in trouble for talking to somebody or casting aspersion on
yep.
people. And then when you get the word that comes down that here's your guy,
Here's your guy. Yeah, yeah.
you
That's
don't have to
that
do
I believe
anything
in.
else.
Right.
Now, again, I tie up all my loose ends.
Yeah,
But if you only need to make probable cause and it can make the public go away and the case is closed,
yeah,
right? Look at Nancy Guthrie.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
if you can shut the book on it and say, good, look, great job. We did
Yep.
it,
33 hours.
right? Right? He can pass. We're
Yep.
good.
Yep. Yep.
Let's not waste any more of the taxpayer money
Yeah.
harassing people that are not involved or whatever. Like, again, it's up to, like, people always ask me, isn't there a set thing about a standard about the way a detective investigates? No, the
Not really.
detective, no, I mean, there's certain things that you should do, but the detective is going to do what the detective is
Yeah.
going to do in order to deliver the result. Like, and I don't know about basketball or whatever, but or we talk about, football. One quarterback is going to, we'll do football. One quarterback is going to air it out instead of doing the ground game, right? And then the next quarterback, like you could have the Super Bowl champs. One is more a ground person and one is more an air person. And they
Right.
still deliver the same results and the same win in the Super Bowl, but it depends on who's on the field at that time,
Yeah.
who their players are, and what the opposition is.
Yeah.
So, depending on the case, there is no set
No
way that
set rules. Yeah.
you can't, and you
Right.
have to be flexible with so no, there's no standard. You go by gut, you go
Yeah, I was
by
gonna
what
say
you're being
gut. I
told.
mean, you'd have to have a good gut in that line of work, but it just, I don't know, just seems
Yeah,
like
there's no standard. You can't think about the football analogy.
yeah,
You can't, because you're making, you step back and they move around and you're like, okay, we got to go somewhere else, and that's how you're doing it, right? It's so easy to Monday morning quarterback and say, and I'm guilty of it too. Um, but when you're in it, you're just flying by the seat of your pants. You haven't had any sleep. You got people breathing down your neck, complaining and bitching, and you just want it to be
you just
done.
want it to be over with. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think of one of the reasons a lot of people are not trusting is just because they don't feel like it's been properly, thoroughly done. They went with, like you said, here's your guy. Okay, there we go. Um,
Yeah, but
again, I mean, this,
if the standard is probable cause,
yeah,
right? I'm not vouching for anybody because I don't
yeah,
like a lot of stuff that's going on in a lot of cases.
yeah.
And for a diehard cop that went, believed in Dare and the CIA and all this stuff,
Yeah,
I was like, what was I risking my life for?
right.
Like,
Yep,
every foundation that I thought,
yep,
okay.
yep.
So, I don't even know where I was going with that, but but it's the probable cause standard. So as soon as like think about it, if you have somebody that comes in and says, I'm your guy,
Yep. 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 Yep.
that's that's it, right? That's why I'm saying with the prosecutor too. The cop says you got probable cause. Okay, it's the defense. Then the defense is like, well, we got it. This. As long as they meet the standard and the judge rubber stamps it, that they're done.
That's it. Yep. Yep.
They're done. Now,
Why do
that's
any
where
more than
you have to have a good person that's going to have foresight and think about, man, if I don't do, I'm going to be embarrassed.
yeah.
I'm going to be
Yeah.
embarrassed.
I
You
mean,
know,
how many dumb kids have killed a husband because of some woman, that I mean, you see those stories a lot. And I'm not saying that's what happened here, but I think a lot of people are one reason they're suspicious is because I don't think she's been looked at to know. I mean, she hasn't been looked at. Her, none of the people around him have been. And I think that's one reason that people are so suspicious because, they just took him. That's it. He did it 100%, planned it all, executed it all. You know, I don't know, 4.0 GPA and then talked like a second grader. And well,
I
some
don't know.
places,
Yeah,
other
I don't
places he
know.
talked like Shakespeare.
But they fulfilled
Yeah.
their right? They fulfilled their job description, right? The
Yep.
DNA came back. Here's your talking points about whatever statistically, here you go. Like even the reference sample. Well, why
Yep.
did you pick the elimination sample? Because I was told that was the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so everybody, this is the thing where, and again, I take flack, and I appreciate the listeners, sitting through all this, but this is why I really, really enjoy doing this, because we really have to think critically and we really have to think about these things. There are so many people in this world, sheep, I've heard them called,
Right.
where, okay, meh, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
and the wolves and the tigers and everybody's just around, and then there's a sheep gone,
Yep.
and you really have to think critically, and this is why I enjoy so much what I do in all areas, but on my channel, because I love talking about what if, and what if this is why, and so everybody going through this, and you have to ask critical questions, not only in these things that, well, I was going to say they don't affect you, but they do affect you, because this sets precedent and this
Yeah.
sets standards for the way the police are going to operate. God forbid if you were in one of these positions, right? And so we have to start getting vested in this to change it and to better
I agree.
understand. And you have to be thinking critically outside in your daily life. I mean, I just see people driving around in the car like,
True.
nothing's
But
going on.
I think recently there have been more people that have been.
Yes, we're waking up.
But yeah,
Yes.
finally. But I definitely like to do this again, and next time probably just I'd like to zero in on the DNA thing. I know you love that, and that's your thing. But there's a lot of different things I'd like to talk about.
Confusing. I'll do my best. Like,
I want to get your opinion, and like I said, we'll do this another day. But I'd like to get your opinion on the whole case, the DNA related. I mean, everything. Just to me, I feel like with the DNA and the bullet fragments and all of that, I see a lot of gaps in all that. I don't see definite connections there. I don't know. I think that the defense probably can do a lot with that, but I'd like to talk to you about that later, though.
okay. Sounds good.
Especially
Well,
with the
thank you.
gun.
Yeah. Well,
Especially with the gun. That I don't know.
with the DNA.
Yeah, the DNA and the bullet fragments that were tested. So we'll definitely we'll do it again if you're up for it. We'll do it again, and we'll talk about that some. And because I've enjoyed this, I've got to go. I didn't even mean to keep you this long. So
No, we've been talking a long time. This has been great. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the support from your members and everything
Yes.
that's been,
Miss
and you
Susan
guys
has dropped your
too.
link in the chat several times. So
Thank you.
yes, everybody, please go give her a follow, a subscribe, and there's several in there. This has been so good. So go give her a follow. Make sure y'all like this video, of course, and yeah, we'll definitely do this again real soon.
All right. Sounds
When
good. Thank you so
do you
much.
have any set times when you're posting videos right now, or?
No, whenever I can get them done, like I say, I'm doing, you know, 2 full-time things. I'm doing the forensic genetic genealogy, and if you want, sometime we can talk about that. I'm doing
Yeah.
that. I'm doing my expert work, and then when the cases come up and I try to talk about it. So I try to post something every day. Typically not so early in the morning. I usually try to post in the evening or in the afternoon, but yeah, anytime, just catch me there.
I was gonna
And
say I'm always up for a live stream. I don't do any pre-records, but anytime you if you got something you want to put out there and need somebody to go live with, you can just give me a holler. I mean, I'm always up for a live stream. So,
okay, sounds like a plan.
but yeah, we'll definitely get together here in the near future because there's a whole lot more to talk about with this one.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank
Yes,
you,
ma'am. Thank
everybody.
you. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye.
All right, guys, that went a lot longer than what I had anticipated. I enjoyed it, but I didn't mean to keep her that long. So, guys, y'all go follow her, like I said, please, and like and subscribe to me if you're not. I know most of you that are listening right now probably are. I'm going to jump off of here. Don't know for sure when I'll be back. Probably, I don't know. I'll just look for a post and a scheduled live. I may try to do something Monday evening. I know I usually just do Tuesday mornings, but I have not got to do much the last week. So y'all just keep an eye out for that, guys. I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna go make sure my babies are in bed, and yeah, I'll see y'all all real soon right here. Thank y'all, guys.
When the facts get twisted and the lies stack tall, my red, white, and blue heart starts at answering the call. Question everything. Don't swallow